He confronted her about this review and they were like shouting or whatever. And he took out a bag of his dog's shit.
A little baggie.
And smeared it on her face.
On her cheek.
No way.
He just grabbed it and went...
Should we begin? I think we're all recording.
Yes.
We don't have Sophia here to check that everything's good. So if there's something that's wrong, blame Sophia. Everyone message Sophia and say it's your fault. Hi everyone, welcome to the capsule. It's just us three here. There's no one else. It feels weird without Sophia here. There's no audience to like sit there. There's just an empty corner now with blankets.
Well, we can
Was
pretend.
that where she normally sits?
Yeah, we just set her up with all the equipment.
We can just pretend.
But Sophia thought, oh, I need to get a degree. My education and future is more important than your podcast. All right, we get it.
Good, Sophia.
No, not
Stay
good.
in school.
Drop out and be a podcaster. It's gotten me so far. Moving on swiftly. Welcome to the capsule, everyone. We have two special guests in the building, as we always do, actually. But we have another two special guests, let's say. I feel like Sean doesn't have a last name. It's Sean Plague.
Yeah.
Sean Plague, Sean Aim Collective, Sean Amy. The infamous Sean with the popping class. Sean
On Tuesdays at base.
Sean on Tuesdays at base. That's his full name, actually.
Yeah.
Sean on Tuesdays at base Plague.
Time?
Amy.
7.
9 until 9. Yeah, I saved it.
You flopped.
I did. Oh, what time is it? Until 8:30.
Yeah.
Oh,
You flopped also.
I flopped as well. It's okay.
No, but you got the start time.
Yeah, true.
Okay, fine. And we also have the wonderful, the amazing, the newest locker on the block, huh?
Yeah, you're doing too much. You're doing too much.
Doing too much?
Yeah.
Okay.
Move on.
I've got some
Someone
woman here. What is even your last name?
I don't know.
I don't even know your last name.
It's okay. We don't need to know.
Oh yeah, we're not saying last names.
No, it's fine.
Even if it's on your Instagram.
Is it?
I don't know, is it?
No?
Okay, well then that's all right.
All right, moving on.
Yeah, for people listening and not watching, we have Chandani in the building. How would you introduce yourself to people that don't know you as a dancer?
Hello, I'm Chandani and I'm a dancer.
Cool. What style would you do? You enter experimental
I
categories.
do enter experimental battles without socks and shoes
Yes, you do.
sometimes.
Isn't that the rules?
Not really.
You have to not have shoes on.
Not really.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, dancing, different styles, contemporary, classical Indian dance, Bharatanatyam, locking, I'd say.
There we go. About time. And yeah, I think everybody knows Sean, but if you don't, I reckon, like I always say like my generation, but then I feel weird saying that because I feel like you did more before I did, if that makes sense. But like we're similar like age in the scene in terms of battles, but in terms of, that's also why it feels weird because in terms of like choreo and stuff, you were around before me, I think, by quite a bit.
I think, when was your first battle? 2009?
Yeah, about then.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so we had our first battle in the same year,
Yeah, true.
but I started dancing in 2000. So
Yeah, so way before. I think I started in 2007, so.
You're so old.
Jesus Christ.
Sorry.
you're just late.
Yeah, exactly.
True.
Are we old or are we well seasoned? Fine wine,
Old. Sorry, moving on.
aged meat. I don't know. I couldn't think of another one. All right, guys.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is our guests. Also, so many people asked us. We're going to get to audience questions later, but so many people asked us about locking because they knew you'd be on.
Woo!
The two questions we got for Sean was like locking and new gen stuff because they were like, we want you to speak on it. But yeah, we're going to get to audience questions. Let's start. Usually Sophia does this part, but let's start with some news. Just because we do a little roundup every week of news and stuff that's happening in the scene. It's probably a lot less comprehensive because, like I said, Sophia isn't here. But first off, shout out to everyone who is in Japan for the WDSF World Series in Japan. I don't know everyone that's out there, but I know for sure Breaking GB have taken, I think, Emma, Sunny, Karam, and Roxy to do the battles out there. I know there's some other people that have flown out there. I think Spin is one of the judges, I want to say.
I have no idea.
And yeah, so it's like this year. So here's the thing. I did try and do some research for this podcast on the qualification system for the WDSF break-in for the Olympics. Now, having done a little bit of research, it turns out that I have grossly underestimated how much time it's going to take to understand this. And a couple of voice notes back and forth with Rob are not quite enough for me to grasp everything that's happening. But it's coming. I'm going to gather some more information so we can kind of talk about what the process is for these people. Obviously, there's more than just the Breaking GB squad who are trying to qualify for the Olympics. But yeah, just I think it's important for the breakers to know, which hopefully they do, and they're educating themselves before I get to it. But also just for us watching along, you know, if we can kind of understand why they're doing all these things and traveling to all these countries and trying to get points, etc., and where everyone ranks, then that will help. Because like, let's say in Manchester last year, Karam got to the finals in Manchester, and it was really cool for the fact that he got to the finals, but it's also really cool for the fact of how many points that gained him towards qualifying for the stuff that's going to qualify you towards the Olympics. So yeah, the more I can help to shed some light on that, I will. But yeah, just good luck to all of them. Hopefully there'll be some good results. It may be, I don't know exactly when the battles are, so it might be out by the time this is out. But if not, shout out to you guys.
Yeah, I just messaged Roxy right now. To
see.
No, nothing to do with that.
Oh.
Just memes and shit.
Oh.
But she's replying, so I'm guessing she ain't busy in this
fair.
moment.
She's supposed to be. She's like at the battle, just like while the opponent's going. Yeah. The other one is we have a battle coming up. We've announced a lot of the battles, Just Jam. There's a few others on last week's pod, but there's one called Vibe Connection coming up, which will be in Manchester on the 30th of April. And I don't think we've spoken about it yet. So check out vibe.connection on Instagram, break-in, hip-hop and pop-in 1v1s. And yeah, 30th of April. So that's going to be happening, as well as all the other events that we've spoken about that hopefully you already know about now. And Groovinometry, etc. Do you have one? Go on, hit it.
I think this is...
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you brought this up.
You go.
Go,
no, I don't
tell
know
them all
about
about
I got one more to announce as well.
I don't know anything.
I actually don't know a load about it. However, I am actually having lunch with the organizer tomorrow. So hopefully next week I'll be back with way more info. But it's called, same but different.
But different.
It's a concept that they started at OSA, which is the dance school in Sweden. And a lot of people go to. So they put an open call out for dancers. But all the information I have so far is that they want to kind of create battles that like people outside the dance scene can appreciate, which I am very much here for.
Big fan.
So yeah, I'll get some more information. We'll be back, but definitely check out, what's the Instagram? Same but different battle.
Yep.
8th
of March.
8th is when the actual battle is.
Yeah.
Yeah, 8th
More
of
info
March.
next week.
Cool, and I will almost definitely be there. Oh, I actually have another one.
Is that in London?
For Sean
Yes, in London.
to his.
In Stratford, actually.
Another one that I am yet to get information on, but there's Movement Factory are doing a showcase on the 10th of March. It looks to be quite fun. I'm just trying to it's called Get It On The Floor Dance Showcase 2023.
Get It On The Floor.
Light Feet UK are performing, Princess K, Elements Youth. I'm not going to read every single person of these, but Elise Antonio is performing. So it looks like it should be good. It's at Hackney Empire, which is an old venue where we used to perform a lot. For what was the name of that one at Hackney Empire? Boroughs United.
Boroughs United. Battle of the Boroughs.
Yeah, I'm sure there was other ones as well. But great venue, and nice to see that there's still stuff going on there. I'll most probably be there.
It's funny, like that's when we used to compete with like showcase performances more than like 1v1 battles.
Yeah.
You know?
We talk about it with Tally a little bit, but like how the tech run was always like, You wanted to like proper, because it was only the dancers there, so you proper wanted to go in on the tech run and be like, oh yeah, Boy Blue are here, like fucking Plague are here. Let me show them our stuff. We had fun, all right.
Yeah,
we were young as well.
Good old days.
Yeah, man.
Must have been like, I was like 18, but yeah. Anyway, sorry, what was your one?
So AIM Collective are doing
Let's go.
the AIM Connective Edition 2. So last year we had the AIM Connective, which was the takeover at East London Dance. So we're doing the second edition on, this time it's just a battle. So it's going to be on the 18th of March. So the 18th is going to be the battle and 19th is going to be workshops.
Sick.
So
do you have any staffing announcements? Can you tell us who's judging, etc.? Or is that being saved for the...
Yeah. We'll reveal that in a bit.
Okay, cool. And what about styles and stuff? Or
So it's going to be 1v1 hip hop and 1v1 popping.
nice. Kingdoms League?
Kingdoms League.
Let's
Ooh.
go. All
So
right,
it's going to
cool.
be the second event of the Kingdoms League for this year.
Sick.
Yeah.
Cool.
Exciting.
So
Yeah.
we underway.
Cool. Perfect. That will be dope. I'll be there for sure. I just put it in my diary. And yeah, so last thing is, do you know much about Mother Funk's mentorship that she's put out?
Yeah, I've been speaking to her about the idea. So it's looking good.
Yeah.
She said she's had loads of interest. So
It's for young female dancers, right?
yeah.
And-
So I thought she was targeting at women in general, but it seems like it's more towards the younger ones.
Okay.
So
That's smart.
yeah.
Cool. And it's kind of like you get a check-in once a week or how often is it?
Yeah, so there's different packages that she's done, which is one's more like a full pack and then one's like, I guess, a bit less.
Yeah.
So different prices for those as well. And if you do the full pack, then you get more access.
Sure.
So you get the video analysis and you get the tutorials and the history and feedback
Sick.
and, a bit more intimate training.
So you can kind of like show her videos and stuff and get like
Yeah,
feedback on what you've done. And
Yeah.
that's dope. I really like that.
Yeah.
And especially
Good-
like
good
her,
idea.
yeah, and like kind of doing the mentorship thing. As I think I spoke about this quite a few times on the pod, but I think the way you guys in general have done stuff in terms of the education has been really good. Like you've had your weekly class for quite a while. Do you know how long it's been that you've been doing that? It's been a minute.
2012?
Wow.
Oh wow, yeah, that is a while. But I think in terms of like, let's say the AIM workshops that you do and like including the battle stuff in the workshops and then doing it as like one-offs, and then even with this, with the Mother Funk's like mentorship thing, it's like, I think it's the right way to go about learning. Like we have a billion classes in London, and it's like to be able to commit to like every week going to a class at the same place, like, and also having to commit, but then you have to also understand that the teacher has to cater for everyone in the room.
Yeah.
So it's like me, if I trained with you every week, it would be very different to if I went to your class every week, and I'd get different stuff out of it. So I think stuff like the workshops enables you to kind of cater to who's in the room, and also this mentorship thing where it's like she can really give you like feedback, and that would be so different from just doing a class with her, which I
It's
think
a
is
lot more
dope.
personal.
So yeah, go and check that out. Is it only for poppers?
It's a popping mentorship.
Okay,
yeah.
mentorship, right?
Yeah.
Sick. And I think that's good as well, because there's been a lot of talk in the past about women in popping and it being a more male dominated thing, and I think it's great what you've done in the sense of having AIM where you have this kind of female collective, but it's also even better like having it from the people, like from the women to support women, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I think it's good, especially when she focuses on like the younger generation, because with people like Mother Funk, they like people look up to her. So when it's aimed to young people, it's like, it's like more accessible.
Yeah.
Rather than wow, I could never be that, but it's
Yeah.
yeah,
Like closing the gap kind of thing.
yeah.
Yeah, I think
Pretty good.
I think it's cool because I know even with myself, like some people are, I don't know why, but some people are a bit intimidated to come, maybe to learn from me.
That was me.
Like in class
That was me for
or
sure.
in
Yeah.
person.
Yeah,
Like
just
in
to
class
ask you anything.
and also like personally.
Yeah.
So
Why
I
did you
know
feel that?
I don't have any particular people in mind, but I get a feeling that there's people that feel a bit intimidated to come to my class. Even
Well,
though
classes, it can be a bit hard, especially like if it's a big class like yours, I feel like it can be hard for people to like, because when you're outside of it and you don't go there, you might think,
It looks daunting.
yeah. And what is really stupid is that, not calling people stupid, but but if you like, because people think, oh, I'm not good at popping, therefore I can't go to his class, and it's like that's so reverse. It's like the point of going to a class is that
Just to get good.
yeah, if you go to a class and you can kill it, like why are you there? You're getting less
Yeah.
out of it than the person that has no idea.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
It's like going to the gym and you're like super ripped. It's like
Yeah.
fine if you're going there to maintain, but the person that's like really out of shape is gaining more from being at the gym every week than you are.
They need it more
maybe.
than you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did you find Sean intimidating? Because he's
Why
much,
did you find me-
much taller than you.
What
that
are we
way.
talking about right now?
When
Let's break that down.
before we started training,
Uh-huh.
when I messaged you, I was like, oh my god, what if he's gonna be like, leave me on red?
What did you say to start training?
You should have seen me sending that message. I was like checking every time if you replied or not. I was like, oh my god, because we never really spoken before
Yeah.
that message, and
Yeah.
I just messaged him being like, hello, I'm really interested in locking.
Yeah.
Can you please mentor me?
Yeah.
What was your honest thoughts? Were you like,
He said no, only if you're very serious.
that's very fair. That is something, wait,
Yeah.
you can definitely say more on this if you want to, but I will say it from me. One thing is that people, and I think it's like young people who think that they get told when they're younger, and I'm not saying this is you, but they get told when they're younger, like, you have to grasp every opportunity, you have to go, it's a cutthroat industry, it's really hard, which is all true. However, they think that they need to like jump on every single opportunity possible, and what happens is that inevitably you can't keep up with everything, and you start like dropping out or being flaky because you're just trying to do everything at once. And I think that can sometimes be worse than just not like being
Only
really
picking
choosy.
one thing,
Yeah,
or
because
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like people are like, oh, I'm going to be mentored by Sean. I'm going to go to this class every week. I'm going to learn this stuff. I'm going to become a breaker. I'm going to become a choreographer. And then it's like you start flaking on people. You start not coming to class, and then your skills vary. And it's like, I think, and also it's a waste of time for teachers. And this is why I think a lot of people, I mean, even from like my experience or what Jen has said, there's London people tend to be pretty helpful if you ask them for help. However, this is where those type of mentalities come from when people are like, oh, I haven't got time for this shit. It's because they don't trust that you're going to be there every weekend. And it's like, if you're going out of your way to mentor someone and then they're just
Respect
flaking.
people's time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or it's like, I help you for like 4 months all the time. And then it's just, you're like, I don't really like locking anymore. Bye. You know,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
like, you're allowed to change your mind.
You
but
are.
Think about it a little
It's gonna
bit.
get on my nerves. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I
with-
get that.
With Chan, I think when you messaged me, I was. Let me think. I was happy that you reached out first of all. Secondly, I think, what did I say to you? I said you need to be ready to teach when the time's right. You need to battle.
Yeah.
Because that's like, you just have to. You have to give back to battles and build in that way.
Yeah.
Um,
But you were very serious. It was like, it was more of a not business, but kind of, you were like, you said yes, no, but you have to be like serious. Like only
Yeah.
if you are really going to make use of this, then yes. But
yeah, don't waste my time.
yeah.
Because for me, especially if I'm gonna work with you one to one, and this is for anybody, it's not so much about what you're paying me or money or whatever, but it's more about what I'm giving to you and the time and the investment, because the money doesn't really replace the time and the amount of investment I'm putting into you. So
Because you're also probably doing more than just the hours teaching. It's
Yeah,
like
for
sure.
talking
For
and
sure.
sharing videos and all that.
yeah.
But that helps, like knowing your investment helps me like wanting to even be better and like
Yeah.
wanting to make sure that it's worth your time, if that makes sense. It's
Yeah,
not just like, oh, I'm gonna go to class and I'll decide like how much I want to give. Like, no, I know that you're investing, so I'm investing even more, if that makes sense.
That's good. Yeah, we'll get more into the locking stuff later. But yeah, I think that's an important thing is like, it's like take your time to understand what opportunities you want to ask people for. Because
Sure.
that's like, once you've done it, it's too late. You know what I mean? Like once
You
you've
know-
wasted someone's time, they
You
don't
know,
remember
some
it.
people, this is a funny one. Some people think they want to do something until they get started and they realize they don't really have,
It's hard.
Yeah.
they don't have the capacity to keep it going.
Yeah.
And there's like certain places to try stuff out. Like I would say it's like, rather than asking you to mentor me and pop in, I would go to your class first and be like, do I love it? Like, let me go to the class for like 6 months every week. Then if I'm like, I love this and I'm not getting enough
more.
out of it, I need more, you know?
Yeah.
It's like when I think it's a little bit different for me because I was more of a, let's say, mature student. But when I kind of started training more seriously in popping, I didn't really ask anyone, or I did at the very beginning. I asked a couple of people for advice, but it's like after a certain period, I was like, right, let me just work on my shit and make sure I'm committed to what I'm doing, make sure I'm going to enter battles and see actually where I'm at for a while before I really try and like change my dance and like ask people for advice. You know, like send when I'm sending people videos and saying, can you give me feedback and stuff? It's like, let me make sure I want to do this rather than just like, oh, I want some, I want to feel good because I want someone to say, oh, you're actually pretty good at pop. You know what I mean? Like, and I think even when I did, I was really careful about who I went to, if you know what I mean. It's people that I knew personally or who knew my journey and weren't going to just, I don't know. I'm not wasting everybody's time for no reason. I'm being like as careful as I can with who I'm interacting with. And I think that's important as well.
Yeah, for sure. Not waste people's time. Man.
Yeah, because it's also like you are Sean, but it's like, it might be that you could have asked someone else and like they weren't the right teacher for you or the right person that you wanted to learn from, you know? So it's like important to know who you're learning from as well as the thing that you're learning.
Definitely. I think just asking someone because they're like popular or something, it's not a good reason. Yeah. I feel like you need to know why you're asking someone in particular.
Yeah, and like...
Wait. So why did you ask me then?
Just because you're popular.
Because you're popular, yeah. Because you're popular. No joke.
Get out of here.
Joke. No, I think because I heard about like the way that you mentor people and the kind of I don't know English, man.
What do you mean you don't know English? The kind of just say stuff if not.
Just a good reputation.
Yeah, the figure, like the kind of the way that you mentor is like more than just dancing, if that makes sense.
Who told you that? Who? Name and shame. Okay. Well, yeah, we'll get on to definitely. Well, I mean, we can talk about the topic of lock-in now, I guess. Why not? Because so many people wanted you guys to speak on that. But we'll touch on it a little bit with the questions. But A, I want to know, why did you want to learn lock-in? And B, I want you to tell me what's going on with lock-in in general.
I'll try.
Or like, your thoughts on lock-in currently. Let's start with you. What made you want to do lock-in? Because you know what's so funny? I went to a couple of like jobs and stuff, and then I forget. Like I have this idea in my head that no one listens to this podcast. It's just for me. So then when I talk to people and they have listened and they remember stuff, especially if they listen regularly, I'm like, fuck. I went to film someone and he was like, oh yeah, so this part is going to be a lock-in thing. I know you hate lock-in, and I was like. And I'm trying to be professional on job, and I'm like, no, I don't hate lock-in. But then I remember all the stuff I said on the pod, and I'm like,
you hate locking.
No, I don't hate locking. Can I tell you the truth?
Go on then.
For me, dance, and I don't know if this is like, this is just how it is always been for me. It's like that the music influences me to dance, right? Like I started off doing hip hop instead of popping because I love the style of popping more than hip hop freestyle since the beginning. Like I thought popping was the coolest shit, but I loved hip hop music, and at that time I feel like it was more like the stuff that people were dancing to in battles was like Slum Village and this type of stuff, which I loved. So I was like, oh, if I'm gonna do a battle style, I'm learning about that one because that's the music I love. And it's the same with like now with popping, like I'm enjoying the music a lot. House is like I enjoy the music, but I can't get into it enough for me to practice that style as much as it takes to become good at it. And my biggest problem with lock-in, one of two biggest problems, is the music. No, is the music. I don't love the music.
Okay.
So that's it's more that, and it's more that I don't enjoy doing the style.
Yeah.
I don't have anything against the style itself.
Hater.
So what are you saying? Is it funk music that you don't like?
Well, I don't know, because I like funk in popping
kind of
battles.
racist.
Why is it?
I know, right?
You shut up.
Go on.
We'll talk about Bollywood in a minute.
Cancelled.
I like funk when it comes to popping battles. Like in Oslo, Kev was playing a lot of like old kind of funk, electro funk type of track, and I love that shit.
So?
But it's something about the thing I find in lock-in, and it's also just a musical taste. So it's like with lock-in, I find you don't have as much as the hard snares. It's more like live instrument-y type of things, which I don't feel as much as I do with a little hint of that electronic like stuff in it, you know what I mean? And like those harder snares and stuff, it just sounds nicer to me because of like the era I grew up in as well. My era has been like all the hip hop stuff I grew up in with in the like 90s and 2000s was all like hard snare, heavy bass type of stuff, which I get that funk element with that in popping. But with locking, it just feels a bit like, there's a couple of songs that I love. You know that I was playing it the other day when I was teaching a class there, Ren Wood's I Don't Want to Stop. I love that track. It's like certain songs like that, and I'm like, if it was all like this, yeah, dun, 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 dun. I like, and when she's singing as well, and like people with like a certain voice as well in that era, I love that. Like, I was like, oh, if this was all Lockie music, I think I'd be a locker. But it's like there's just enough of it that's played that I'm like, I don't like this, don't like this. Didn't grow up on this. It's like it's also an era thing, because I think what you grow up on is kind of what you know, you can kind of go back and learn stuff, but there's a lot of hip hop that was before my time that I just didn't connect with in the same way that, like, I guess like growing up and hearing like 50 Cent and G Unit when it was like the thing, or like Lil Wayne when he was the guy, it's like it connects with you different than like being like, oh yeah, Rakim is one of the greatest.
It's interesting you say that, because I feel like my experience of getting into the styles I do was probably the back to front to how you just said it, because I saw the styles and I was like, that looks sick, and then I'm just trying to imitate what I've seen.
Interesting. So
and I wasn't
like
really, even with popping, I wasn't really listening to funk music or anything.
Okay.
I would have just seen popping and tried to imitate it.
It's true.
And the same with locking, just seen it and just tried to imitate it.
Where did you first see locking? Or like, what was the stuff that you were looking at to be like, oh, I want to do that?
I remember where I first saw popping, but as for locking, I think I might have seen it whilst I was seeing popping.
Okay.
That's what I think happened.
Because it used to be very side by side. Like
yeah.
Popping and locking.
Yeah. But I mean, back then, early 2000s, just on the internet, like certain websites, you would see, you just get clips, you know.
Fair.
So just watching clips and then rewatching clips and then just kind of doing the imitation thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of like that. So, and then I would discover the music a bit after.
Interesting. Okay, cool. So like when you saw, because this is kind of what, it's like similar way of seeing it, but we focus on the different thing. Yeah. Because I feel like for me, I would watch the clip, but then as I'm watching, I'm like, I don't really like this song, so I can't feel the movement as much. Whereas you're saying like you were, almost the movement was making you feel the song more because of how they were dancing to it.
I'm looking at people doing like this crate, and I'm like, looks like he's got no bones. Like, what? I want to do that.
What was that guy's name? He was in another one you're talking about.
David Elsewhere.
That's it. He was in You Got Served, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I remember seeing that clip as well.
Yeah.
But so what, because this is more of a recent interest for you, or no?
I mean, I first got introduced to locking before my bachelor,
Which
like
was
my pre-education in Amsterdam. And I really liked the style and I wanted to invest in it. So I went to my teacher and I was like, oh, please, can you like help me with this? Like I want to, because I also went to Summer Dance Forever that year for the first time. And I saw Locking Forever and I was like, I want to do this. So I went to my teacher and I was like, hey, I really want to become good at this. And he was like, no, you should do popping because popping has more of a future. And I was like,
ooh,
okay.
That's a sting. Who said that?
not saying names. But yeah, so, and I wasn't feeling.
If you're the teacher, comment underneath this. We need to have a discussion.
It was me
calling out. But yeah, no, I wasn't very like, my heart wasn't in popping. So I was like, okay, I'll just leave it then, basically. Still trained locking in my free time for fun, but it wasn't serious because I didn't have a teacher. And then I was doing my bachelor in an area where there wasn't really a lot of locking teachers. So I did my BA then, completely left everything, just focused on contemporary. And then when I graduated, I came to London and I was like, no, man, I still really want to do this. I reached out to.
Oh, so it was like pretty, like soon after you came here that you were like, oh, let me try and get into this.
Because when I was done with my bachelor, I finally had time to do other things that I was actually enjoying. Because my bachelor, I didn't really enjoy that much because it was a lot of styles that my heart wasn't in it.
Okay.
And I didn't have time afterward, like after those BA classes, to do a lot of stuff because it was very draining for me because I was also working at the same time. So yeah, when I graduated, I was like, okay, let me invest in stuff that I really enjoy.
And what was it like? Do you remember like the initial what made you ask about locking? Like
in London?
in general, because you said it was like before then you already had an interest in it, but where did that come from?
It was Summer Dance Forever. It was Locking Forever for
Oh,
sure.
okay, nice.
When I saw Ruben G and Rocher, when I saw them win, I was like, I want to do this.
Oh, so that wasn't that long ago then?
wasn't that
no,
long
okay,
ago.
right. I'm thinking
I'm not old though. Am I?
true. It's like us. But also this is also the thing where it's like what you said about mentoring and like bringing it all round is like about that you said that she has to enter battles, and it's like this is kind of why it's important, because
Yeah.
you're probably not the only person that was inspired by those guys, and they, not that they're like the only good lockers we've had in a while, but having good people like that and like a good group, it inspires other people to do the thing, and that's where you get like this culture from and stuff. And it's like you can say that, which is true, you can say that the parties and the culture and the jams are or the classes, if we want to have that conversation, but like are the things that like also spread the culture. However, I would say that nothing travels the world like battle footage. It's like you can have a jam and you can play funk. We could have a weekly locking jam. We used to have a weekly pop in, and well, it's called a funk jam. So it was like pop in, lock in, whack in.
Akbar.
Yeah, everything. We used to go there every week. It was actually so sick. And this is me like not even really loving that music, but it was just the place to go, and like it was dope. And Zulu was a DJ for it every week, right? But it's like that was great, but until YouTube came around, Instagram came around, people started filming battles, that is what translated a lot of these styles way quicker than us having a weekly jam. So when people are like, oh no, we need more of this, we need more of the jams or the class, and then they say the opposite, where they're like, oh, it's not all about battles. It's like, it's not all about battles in the sense of you as an individual needing to enter battles. That's not the only way that you can express your dance. However, if you care about it spreading, I think
You need
that's
to battle.
the biggest and quickest way that it's going to go. Not to mention testing your skills and being able to like push yourself in a certain arena. But
The whole battle culture is kind of what done a massive resurgence for the street dance styles, you know. So yeah, it's not all about battles, but it definitely plays a major part. I feel like if there was more lock-in at high level battles, we would have more interest.
For sure. I agree.
Yeah, and I mean, we had this conversation about house a couple of weeks ago or last week, but about which came first, the chicken or the egg kind of thing. It's like, do organizers put on categories for lock-in and house or whatever, and then people don't show up as much, and it's going to take a while? Or do we create the lockers first and make noise, you know, like doing videos or whatever it might be, having little social jams. And once you know that there's like a locking scene happening, even if it's without the battles, do more category stuff.
I feel like we work on building the community and teaching the dancers. So we build the lockers up, and then they need to go out there and prove themselves. I feel like no one's gonna put a category in a jam if the dancers don't exist yet.
No, exactly.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, that's my
so
thing.
you can shoot content, you can put videos out, you can enter all styles jams, do this kind of stuff. If people are seeing that lockers are out there, then okay, cool.
Yeah,
I've seen a few lockers. Let's put a category on.
Yeah, there's some buzz happening.
Yeah.
I also think what helped me to be inspired by just the style back when was because they created that environment that it was like a thing. Because we had weekly classes, we had workshops from like Tony Basil, and then we had Summer Dance Forever. That was like a big thing, and everything was like surrounding that. And then there was also battles where locking was a category. So I guess that fed people into becoming interested in wanting to be a locking dancer.
Yeah, I think there's way more of a opportunity these days to have a community and a culture around something without it being in battles, because before it used to be like, let's say if you wanted to get known as a popper, it's like if you're not able to get through prelims or be in the top 8 or 4 or whatever, it's like, where else were you going to do it? Like you go and jam, but like where else are people going to see you? We used to have like performances, so you'd have like stuff like Plague where you guys would do full like popping sets, and the thing where we'd notice people is like, oh, we saw Brooks solo at the showcase kind of thing. But it's like, besides showcasing in performances or battles, you didn't have Instagram, YouTube, all these things where you can create like a whole buzz. Now it's like you can go do a lock-in session, and it's like even with any normal person's phone, you could film the session and put that online, and we can see a whole group of lockers or whoever doing the thing. So I think it is easier to create this buzz if you wanted to, and I think that's gonna. But I think there's also a mentality where not everyone, a lot of people they just want other people to fix their problems. So they're like, well, the organisers aren't putting locking jams on. Well, that's why I'm not a locker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, it sometimes works the other way. Like you have to get up off your ass and do stuff, you know?
Yeah. I think also, I mean, it's a lot more, not accessible, but I think locking in general is a lot more relaxed now. Do you know what I mean?
It's not so strict.
It's not as strict as it was. It was really rigid. Which I think didn't help it blossom.
Where was that from? Was that the general culture, or was it more like pioneer level?
I would say from the elders, yeah.
Okay.
The elders were really strict on what can be considered locking, what can't be considered locking, what looks right, what looks wrong.
Yeah.
This kind of stuff.
Right.
So I feel like it's a lot more accepted to be a bit different now.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it one way.
I feel like, and maybe
Which I think strangled it a little bit.
Yeah, and please educate me more on this, what I'm about to say, because I feel like watching locking from not a locker perspective, it's like with stuff like, let's say, pop-in or hip-hop or house, the foundation is a bit more universal in a way, and there's techniques and vocabularies that you can play with. Let's say waving, like it's not a move, it's a way of moving. Like even if you look at something like Toyman or any of these like things, it's like a way of moving, not a move. And then you have your vocabulary. So you have a walkout, you have boog rolls or whatever, right? But they're not the only thing. You could do an entire popping round without using any vocabulary moves. You could just use ways and techniques and things. And I feel like this is what other styles, like I'm thinking more of stuff like dancehall and locking and these type of styles, where I see it more as vocabulary based dances. Yeah. And it's like there's not necessarily a way of moving. Maybe it's not yet. Like maybe it needs to evolve into that more fluid thing where, like in hip hop, especially now, I mean, I've in the past talked about it being too fluid, but I'm back and forth. So let me work out my opinions. All right. Brooke cussed me out when I said that. Him and Kieran, like I saw them the day after I spoke on the pod about hip hop. They're like, what are you talking about? They're like, you're talking shit. But yeah, I feel like with hip hop, it's like as long as you've got this bounce and this rock and stuff, you can or can't you
can get away without knowing steps.
Yeah, and you can just move how you could. It's way easier to express your style. Yeah. Whereas I feel like maybe this is the strangle of locking a little bit, where it's like there's not like a way. It's like if you're not doing these vocabulary moves, how do I express my style through that? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I would say locking it's more unique in that sense, and it's probably a bit more difficult in the sense that you can't do locking without the vocabulary.
Right.
So if you're not doing a lock or a scuba or a Scooby-Doo or any of the vocab, then you're dancing, but you're not necessarily locking. So knowing the vocabulary it doesn't exist without the vocabulary. But here's the freedom is knowing how to. The vocabulary is your glue, you know, but you still dance in your own way. You carry your own style, your own identity. You stretch the vocab in your own way. So you don't need to feel restricted to do Scooby-Doo in the same way that you was taught.
Because I think that helped me a lot. Sorry.
Yeah.
That helped me a lot when I was learning. Well, I'm learning from you is not staying restricted to what the step is.
Yeah.
Every time I try to go out of like the created box or the created thing, I'm like, oh, can I do this? You're like, you can do anything. You can literally make it anything that you want, and that can be the new way that you do it, the new style that you do it in. So a lot of time when people are like, oh, locking is very restricting, I'm like, no, there's so many options.
Can you give an example of like something that you would, like, you don't have to do a solo now, but like like a way that you would take a vocabulary move and play with it, or like?
Well, what helps me is like, for example, when there's two different like
no, it's good because you need to speak to us.
Yeah, I want to see you.
Yeah, so do like that. There you go.
When there's two different steps, there's a way that you can just do, I don't know, like a Scooby-Doo and you lock, like, or point. But then there's so many different ways that you can do those two things back to back. If
Okay.
that makes sense.
I
Just
think
like,
so.
I don't know how to explain it with
So
words.
let's
Come on, get
I've
up
got-
and do a
I've got
solo.
No,
something
no, no.
else.
Okay,
let's
go on.
say let's say a Scooby Doo, right? It consists of 4 movements. So you're up, lock, kick, step. So you take those 4 movements, you can break the 4 of them into separate things. So the up, you can take the up and play with that. And then the second part of that movement, you can play with that.
Like when you say like play with it, do you mean like kind of speed or level or like
You can
direction and this
you can
type of
just
stuff?
fully
Anyway.
make variations of
Yeah.
that one part.
Okay.
So those, let's say those 4 movements that create the Scooby Doo, you can take the first one and just go off, just with the first one
Right.
before you get onto the second one. And when you start to get into it like this, then you have endless possibilities.
Yeah.
And how much can you play with a move before it's not that move anymore? Does that make sense?
So when you know the move and you understand the context of the move, then it's kind of like I know how to go away from it, whilst it still keeps its
Like you kind of
its
understand
value.
what the core of the move is
Yeah,
to
yeah,
not
yeah.
lose that as long
Yeah,
as
yeah,
you right.
Because that's what you always say. Like when I try to explore a move, you're like, okay, but do you know what the original is?
Yeah.
And then we practice that so much. And then when I do something else, you're like, okay, at least you know what it is. So you can do anything, really.
Right. Yeah. I think if I translate that to like a hip hop or popping context, it makes sense to me because I feel like we do that anyway in hip hop and popping, but we also throw in a whole bunch more. But yeah, I've like done training or rounds where it's like you're just playing with 1 or 2 moves and you're trying
Yeah,
to
like this.
expand, and it's basically locking is the whole.
Like
That's
this,
that,
yeah.
right? That makes sense.
Yeah.
And so, do you think where do you see like kind of, or both of you, like where do you guys see locking's like popularity? Do you feel like it's back on the rise? Because I feel like people like, well, I mean, we have like who are the guys from that you said from Amsterdam?
Ghetto Funk Collective.
Yeah, like we have them, but also back in our day, we had like P-Lock and people like that who,
Still around.
Yeah.
yeah, but he's not really battling anymore, is he?
No, he is.
Oh, P-Lock's still battling? Oh, damn. No, he is. Oh.
Yeah, right. I've seen.
I believe he's retired, but
Oh, I've
might
I've
be
seen
wrong
him
in
in the
that.
battle.
Oh.
I think
Recently.
he still does crew battles and
Oh yeah.
stuff
That's
like
But
what
that.
he was like he was
Not
one of the
solo
like
ones.
He doesn't battle 1v1 anymore.
one of the greats.
I love how you
Yeah.
went silent. You didn't like correct me. You were like
Yeah, you lot do your thing.
He's just looking at the camera like,
false news.
Yeah, so P-Lock,
yeah,
Jimmy Soul, I think Flocky,
yeah,
let's say 10 years ago, maybe 10 plus years ago, these guys were really pushing locking and like they were inspiring the world, you know. And then locking's taken the back seat for a couple of years, and now Ghetto Funk Collective, they're
like bringing it.
Bringing it
They're kind of
back.
leading the charge of locking.
yeah.
Yeah.
So especially in Europe, they've just kind of inspired a whole new generation of
Gen.
people.
For sure.
Yeah, man, sick.
Do you think? I don't know if this is complete like bullshit or if I am just seeing this, but like
Probably.
the
Go on.
these type of artists like Anderson .Paak and Bruno Mars and stuff, bringing this sort of sound a bit back into mainstream.
Oh, I have an opinion on this. Sorry.
Go on. Do you think that has anything to do with helping a little bit, or if it's contributed? Or go on, I want to.
No, you go first. You go first. Because I think we maybe have different opinions about music with locking. Sorry.
You are running away from this microphone.
I think it's helpful. I don't know if it has any impact on the dance,
Okay.
like on the resurgence. I mean, it's helpful to have more new current music
Yeah.
to listen and dance to, sure. But I'm also trying to get people to dance on other music, especially with locking that isn't, you know, it's not just 70s music or 80s music or the music that just directly sounds like funk music. Can you dance locking on house?
Interesting.
You know?
So how do we then define what? Oh, go on, did you have something on that before we move? I have another question. but
Maybe.
Go on.
I don't know. I guess similar to what Sean said about trying it on different music, because when you look at development of like hip hop dance and hip hop music, like they kind of develop together, don't they? And with locking and funk music, that development hasn't really happened. Like you're naming Anderson .Paak and Bruno Mars, like that's two
Yeah,
artists.
there's not really a current.
Yeah, there isn't. If you look for new locking music, it's difficult to find like funk that is new.
Or at least not like big popular mainstream artists.
Yeah,
There's
no.
probably like some underground artists.
Yeah.
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 Not that they're listening to this, so it's fine.
But true say. But yeah, I think that's where that comes in, where you try it on different music that is this time. For example, when Rory and I did the video on Cash In Cash Out, we just tried to do something that's a bit more current, but still keeping that feeling of like funk.
Well, that's my question, is like, how do we decide what a locking track is then? Because like I know and it's more of like a thing that I'm not saying in general we don't know, but I don't know, because say with popping, I know a song that I can pop to immediately. I mean, you can pop to anything, but like a popping track or something that I would play in a popping battle or put on at a popping session, I can hear it immediately if there's a certain type of tempo, a good enough snare, and that the rhythm is in a certain way that the snare is like isolated almost in the track. I'm like, okay, this is like, we can pop to this. Obviously, there's a bunch of other tracks that people can play with.
Yeah.
But, and same with hip hop, is like if there's a certain sort of bounce and a certain sort of feeling that in hip hop, let's say, I would relate to the different cultures of hip hop, if that makes sense. So like, let's say like New York hip hop versus like stuff that you would do maybe more like Memphis Jukin type of style too. But I'm like, they're all for me like under the umbrella of hip hop dance, or even a light feet track. It's like, I'm like, I hear that and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a bit more of like an Atlanta bounce type of track or whatever. So I would play that or this, and it kind of fits under all the different ways that you could do hip hop. But like with locking, it's like, how would you listen and be like, oh, this is a track that someone could lock to?
I think if it's for like for your personal use, unless you're a DJ, then maybe
Sure.
it's different. But if it's for you, like your own personal,
It can be anything, yeah.
Yeah, you just kind of experiment with different types of music.
Well,
And
what about for DJs then? If they were trying to play in locking battles and play different stuff, is there a way that you'd be like what would you listen and be like, oh, this is different, but yeah, that still works? Or
I think it's tricky because as a DJ, you need to understand the dance if you're going to take some risks.
right,
You know, have you done locking yourself? Have you danced locking at any point? Would you dance that yourself?
so it's more like you have to trust your personal instinct,
Yeah.
rather than there being like too much of a formula.
Yeah, I mean, play funk music is the obvious answer.
Yeah.
Right. But if you wanna venture outside of that, you can play like some current music. Maybe you can play some hip hop. Maybe you can play something, like I said, like some house music that has like a funk feel
Elements,
to it.
Yeah,
So
it's really hard to pin down what the feeling is, because it's even like like in Breaking, what's that Pusha T song, the Let the Smokers Shine the Coops, you know that track? It's like that goes off in a breaking battle, but it's like hearing that, I'm like, I as soon as I heard it when the album came out, I was like, oh, they should play this for hip hop battles. I never thought of it for a breaking battle, but it's like breaking DJs somehow knew that would fit
yeah.
a breaking battle where they usually play like break beats and stuff like that. But this one, like not commercial, but like mainstream hip hop
Yeah, yeah.
song would go off, and they've identified like a certain tempo and rhythm
Yeah.
because they know breaking. But it's the same, I guess, with locking. It's like you probably have to know it well enough, but it's like hard to tell someone else how to know it.
I mean, I guess if I'm not a DJ, so I wouldn't know. But I
Yeah.
guess if you look at all the elements that consist in a funk track, if you know how to identify that in like a newer style,
Yeah,
music, then that could be a way. But I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, so it's more about your understanding of music itself,
Yeah, I
and
guess
like the
so.
tempo and the rhythm and all that shit that goes with it. Fair enough. We're gonna come back to that because there's some questions about it from the audience, and we're gonna try to get through all of them, but there's a lot, so we'll see. But thanks everyone for submitting your question. So let's get through a few other things. You were asking me about the Montclair event.
Yes. Tell me more.
That I went. Did you see this? There's a big Montclair event. It was called the
looked
Art
really
of
cool.
Genius. Yeah, it was really cool. It was. There's not too much to say dance-wise on this, although I have a controversial opinion, which probably isn't that controversial. But it was a big event for. They do these collaborations, and they, I guess, put it under the umbrella of the Art of Genius. So this one, they did collaborations with Pharrell, Alicia Keys, Mercedes.
Insane.
Yeah, and then there's a footwear designer that I really like, and who else did they do it with? Palm Angels, and I can't remember, but it was basically at the Olympia, Kensington Olympia, which used to host Move It. And it was like all these different big exhibitions. So you go in and it's this huge hall, but then you walk into each, they had like these kind of rooms or like dome shaped things, and you go in and they've got an installation for each collaboration. So it wasn't just like a fashion show or something. It's like a real immersive like thing. Like the Palm Angels one was, I think it was Palm Angels, was like a foam party thing.
A what?
A foam party. So you literally go in and it's like foam everywhere. It's like real like immersive things, and they had DJs and stuff, and yeah, it was mad. And then
sorry, was it like the audience can decide where they're going at what time?
Yeah.
So everything was happening at the same time at all times.
For like the first however many hours. Like, I think it went on till quite a while. I didn't stay till the end, but it was all going on, and you had to, some of them there was no queue for, some of them you had to queue for to get into, like, you know, because obviously if everyone wants to go in, it's like they have to let
it be full. They
weren't like super long, like you kind of just go in, go around and come back out the other side, but they were really cool on the inside. Cool. Yeah, it was really dope. And then the end thing was Alicia Keys collaboration, and it was she performed live, which was fucking cool, and she brought out Little Sims and Cleo Sol. Which was really sick, and considering all the tickets were free.
That's insane.
So like when Moncler, I'm on the email list because I went to the last one of these they did.
Of course you are.
And so they just email you saying the Art of Genius is coming back, like submit your email, like you type in your thing if you want a ticket. And I guess not everyone gets them, but if you're quick enough, like they just say, yeah, cool, you're confirmed, like you didn't pay, so you get basically a free fucking Alicia Keys concert. Cool.
I saw it on your Instagram stories and I was like, what is this? Why did I not know about
it? It was so cool. Sick. Obviously I would have sent it out to more people to be like, get a ticket, but it's like I didn't know it was going to be that big, because the last one I went to was sick, but it wasn't huge like that. But that one, they had done a world tour of that, and this was just the one event. There was loads of people there, like famous, like Justin Bieber was there.
No,
Lewis Hamilton was there. Yeah, he was for real. Pharrell was there. Who else was there? Do you know West Side Gun?
I know of him.
You know West Side Gun? He's a rapper. He raps with Benny the Butcher and other dude from Griselda.
Okay.
But I would literally walk by. It was like this guy, and I it's so funny because in the thing, there was some people, like I didn't see Pharrell there, but I saw
the hat.
No, I saw videos of him walking through, and like he had his people and security, and people were like filming him. But like West Side Gun is like a big rapper for those that know about him, and he was literally just standing,
no entourage,
just by him, like, or he was with a friend, I guess. But like they just walked past, and like me and Jen happened to stop like where they were stopped because we were talking about something, and he was just standing there, and I didn't recognize him. Like I know his music, but I don't know his face that well. But obviously he looks like a New York rapper. He's got like the grills, he had like all the clothes and shit, and I was just looking around, and because everyone in the show, in the fashion place, is like very fashionable, all dressed up in like, this is their also chance to like dress up, so everybody's dressed wild, right? So I literally looked at him and I was standing next to him and I said to Jen, like, you know what's crazy is like being at this event, I don't know if people are famous or they just look like they're
they
famous.
Just look good.
Yeah, everybody's like going full out for this thing. And I said it because I looked at him. And then later I saw a picture that like one of the designers I like that was there shared a picture with him and tagged West Side Gun. And I was like, oh, that is. And I looked at him, I was like, that's the guy I saw. I was like, that's West Side Gun. But yeah, it was crazy. There was a lot of like really famous people that were there.
Were you fangirling a little bit?
No, because it was like 2 days later that I realized it was him. At the time, I just literally was like, that guy looks like he could be a famous guy. And that's it.
Guy, I see.
The Alicia Keys concert, we were 3 minutes from leaving when she came out.
And it just happened.
Well, because they had a big room at the side, right? So we walked around all the exhibitions and we kind of just saw everyone, like there was a gate where people were walking into, but people are walking into everything. So some of them are walking into the exhibition, blah, blah, and some people are going that way. So we're like, all right, let's go check out what's there. And it's just a big hall with like a stage and a DJ on it. And so and everyone was kind of like something, because the DJ's at the front and then there's like a piano and all the thing. So we're like, there's something going to happen, but no one had announced anything. So we were like, we just kind of hung around and we were dancing a little bit. And then we were like, all right, let's just stay and see what happens. And then at, let's say it was just before 10. No, because at like 10 to 10, we were in there. So we were like, or let's say quarter to 10. We're like, all right, probably the DJ is going to play until 10. If anything's going to happen, they'll make it at 10, right? So it gets to 10, the DJ turns off and they just start playing like a generic playlist. And the tech guys come and like remove all the DJ stuff. So we're like, all right, something's happening.
Yeah, stick around for this.
It was like, we were standing around, and this probably isn't long for people that do concerts, but I just don't do concerts and festivals ever. But we were there for like 40 minutes, like with this generic playlist
Waiting
just
for
going
something.
on, and it's like everybody's just staring at the stage, and it's just like
I would have left.
there's nothing to look at. Yeah, and it's like 20 past. We're like, all right, because we thought at 10
need
o'clock
sleep.
it was going to be a switchover, and then it was going to start.
Yeah.
It gets to like 10:30, 10:35, and we're like,
Past your
I said to
bedtime.
Jen, I was like, I am almost over this.
Yeah. I was
Because
gonna
also
say.
people are pushing, trying to
Yeah.
get to the front. I hate that atmosphere, and it's like, and we didn't. Yeah. Anyway, so I was like, all right. She was like, give it 5 minutes, and then we'll go if not.
Oh, go on, Jen.
But she was pissed. She she tried to start a fight with some girl because she was trying. No, she didn't. But she was trying to elbow past us. You know when everyone's like crushed like this,
Yeah.
and it's like you're trying to push past me. It's like, where are you going?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. There's
you-
nowhere to go.
There's nowhere to
Stop.
go, and and they're like, no, but my friends are over there,
Oh,
and it's
no.
like you're not getting there. Like, so you're gonna push in front of me and then stop in front
Go
of me.
off,
So
Jen.
fuck off. So she was angry.
Legit, yeah.
So I was like, all right, everyone's getting annoyed. We'll give it another 5 minutes, and then if nothing happens, let's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
go. Luckily, Alicia Keys came out. We were like, all right, glad
The day.
Yeah.
Luckily, Alicia Keys came out.
Yeah. Saved my night. Thanks, Alicia. But yeah, she killed it. Breaking news: she can sing.
Who would have thought?
Just in case anyone didn't know,
Who would have thought?
she can fucking sing live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Beautiful voice.
like a little bit of a fangirl for Alicia Keys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't like, this is what is good about concerts. Like, I wasn't like that, but
Until-
when I see her, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I see why you're famous.
She's serious.
Yeah, oh, bro. And it's like,
good, man.
you also see like Little Sims and Cleo Soul who are big, and Cleo Soul can fucking sing, but it's like you see the level.
Yeah, it's
like,
a difference. Alicia is...
yeah, and it's like they're doing like she's singing Falling, and it's just like,
oh man, I'm so jealous. Sorry,
yeah,
go on.
and like, but she did one, like she's obviously playing. You know that I think it's towards the end of the song where it's like the chorus, but it kind of is like a breakdown.
Example,
And
sorry,
it's,
example.
no, but basically she told the crowd basically sing it, and so she's playing the piano. The whole crowd is singing the entire chorus word for word, and she's not saying a word. And then she's singing just her ad libs
I'm
on
there,
it,
I'm there.
and like riffing and going. And I'm like, this is fire,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
first of
yeah.
all, you know that the crowd knows that track well enough to
Yeah.
like every single word. The whole place knew, and she's just like killing the ad libs in the background, playing piano, and I'm
Sick.
like, you're fucking gangster.
Yeah. She let them
She
sing the
knows.
track.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
was just
yeah.
like, yeah, you go. But
Any dancers?
this is my controversial opinion. Yes, there was
Oh.
dancers. There was 4 dancers that.
She doesn't need dancers.
That was my first opinion.
Okay.
I do not need. I do not need dancers for an Alicia Keys concert. I'm sure they had good reason, and there's a lot of people that know more than me about live performances. So
Yeah.
I'm probably talking shit. However, I was like, I don't need this.
I
Like,
can't imagine what were they doing. It's like
they only came out on a few songs, so I don't remember what they all were. Definitely New York was the last track. I would have finished with Falling. However,
if you were Alicia.
if I was Alicia, however, as Jen said, New York is a bit more of an energy bump for the last
Yeah.
track. But the way the crowd went off of Falling, I'm like, you could have ended
This is
there.
the end.
Yeah.
Because she finished and then she was
End
like,
it on a high.
yeah, she started playing something else, and I was like, really? Like, you have another
Another
track
one?
that's going to bang more than that? And New
Yeah.
York did, but I don't know. For me, I would have reversed those two. But yeah, there was like 3 or 4 tracks maybe where they had the dancers, and the other ones they went out.
I'm curious to see.
I didn't need it. Also, with all due respect,
Oh.
I hated the choreography. I was.
Who was the choreographer?
It was a guy called, what's his name? I do know his name, but I forgot it. Paul Roberts. He seems like why am I opening Spotify? He seems like a really big choreographer, and he knows what he's doing. So
Yeah.
there's probably a reason why they do what they do. And like, obviously I'm looking as a dancer, which is not what they're choreographing for. Like, they're choreographing for entertainment and to hype the crowd. And
Yeah.
but a lot of it was just like, I feel like I ticked off the cheesy commercial moves bingo.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
it's
I
just
see.
all of this and all of the
Was there any
like-
facials involved?
oh, there was all the facials, and we know how I feel. Oh, I got people were cussing me about saying that about.
No, I agree with you though.
Oh, did you?
I agree. But I have to say, I think because it was such a big event,
Which this one?
this one
yeah,
that you went to, I think the organizers probably went like, "What do we need to get a good event? We need a good singer,
Yeah,
we need
and just-
dancers." So I guess it was just involved. They were involved because of the checklist. Of
yeah,
the
sure.
organizer.
It was probably. Yeah, I can't imagine Alicia was like, I'm not doing this
I
without
need
dancers.
my
Yeah. Falling will not work unless they're doing 6/8 of.
I mean, fair play if she did.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm just going to do like that. There we go. But yeah, I didn't need it, and I didn't like the choreography really. It was just a lot of like moves. I felt like they're just doing it for the sake of it, and I was like,
Well, good for them. They got to perform with Alicia. That's cool.
oh yeah, and at a Montclair event, like, oh
That's
hell
cool.
yeah.
I feel like it took away from the performance.
Probably.
Like
For me, it did because
just kind of
I'm analyzing for that reason.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so all I'm looking at is these people, these 4 dancers like doing it, and I was like, just a lot of times I'm just looking at them thinking like, I would not have even done this, and if I did, I would have found a more.
like it would have been better to just leave Alicia by herself.
Yeah, she
Of
killed
course.
it, bro. And it's like
Yeah.
she did the way they did the structure was like she came out for a couple of songs, got the crowd warmed up. She's amazing at performing, and like it's crazy when you see high level performers.
You're such a fangirl now. Look at you.
No, you know, but it's like it's not even her music. It's like when I see someone do a skill that
Performance.
I've tried to do, like not that I've tried to sing, but I've been on stage and I know the size of that crowd or like how it feels to be in front of a crowd that big. And imagining being there by myself and having everyone like,
Yeah.
you know,
No, she knows.
engaged.
She
It's
knows
like
how to
that's not like, oh, you're just a good singer. It's like you have an extra skill there. And it's like, yeah, I probably would have left it just based on how much she was killing it. And like, even just little stuff. It's like she took off her jacket at one point. She had obviously the Montclair collaboration because the whole point was for her to advertise her collaboration with Montclair. So her little Sims and Cleo Soul were all wearing Montclair and the dancers. And so she took off the jacket at one point and like just walked over to the side, like in the between the verses or whatever. What? That's fine. And then she put the jacket down, and then she's like, I gotta lay that down carefully. That's the new collection. And then everyone like started screaming, and it's just like you even made taking your jacket off like engage the crowd. It's like this is like, and it's like she hadn't referenced the clothes, and that was the first time she said, yeah, this is the new collection. It's like, oh, and I know she didn't plan doing that. I don't think
Yeah.
like
That's the thing with her. I feel like she knows how to talk to the crowd. Like sometimes artists talk to the public and it's a bit awkward. They're
Yeah.
like, "How are you doing tonight?" But she really knows. Like,
oh yeah, and it's like it this is my terrible analogy, but it's like, you know, when like I would imagine like when you hire an escort, right? Bear with me.
oh god.
That like, you know that you're paying them, but their job is to make you feel like they want to be there, I guess.
You
This is
know?
kind of how I felt about Alicia Keys, because it's like she was like talking like, yo, every time I'm in London, yo, the vibe is so right, it feels like home. I'm from New York, you know we're cousins, right? London and New York.
That
and I'm
is
like,
funny.
you want to be here, like
Yeah.
you so want to. And I'm like, yo, she's getting paid to be here.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
she
yeah.
may not believe any of this, maybe she does, but
she tells it to every
she says that in
country, every
Japan. She
city.
says that, but I'm like, no, you came here for me, Alicia. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I was like, you love London, but yeah, it's just like she's so good at like, yeah, saying the stuff and being feeling genuine and
Yeah. Oh, that's
yeah.
good.
But it was a dope event, and on the subject of fashion, because the reason Montclair did this now is because it's London Fashion Week, and also on that note, I think we should shout out Saul.
Big up, so
Who is doing big things. Like
Big
he
things.
is killing it. I don't know when I knew that he was doing fashion stuff. I think at some point I was aware that he was studying. I think he was at UAL or
don't know.
whatever that college is. But anyway, Saul, if you don't know him, Saul Nash is a fashion designer, but was a dancer, or still is a dancer, but he was a lot part of our scene. He did hip hop battles.
Yeah. Still takes part here and
Yeah,
there.
he was at I was looking, we actually have a video of him on the Capsule YouTube of he was at the hub for Sheldon's battle, Tribeways thing that he did. He did a small battle at the hub maybe 3 or 4 months ago. And Saul competed. I think he got I think Kane beat him in the semis maybe. But yeah, he still can dance. He's still
Active.
doing well. And he did a lot of stuff. Like he was in Avant-Garde with Tony and did a lot of choreo stuff. And yeah. So then he, I guess, studied fashion and started being a designer. And I think he started with menswear. And it was, I guess, around the aesthetic of like being able to move in certain clothing, or that was what, so he brought like his dance to the fashion stuff, and did a lot of like his fashion shows always included dancers, I guess. So he had a lot of people from the dance scene be like walking in the shows and stuff. And yeah, he just did a fashion show, or he was in I don't know what the right terminology is. He showed his new collection, which is called Juxtaposition. So I thought this was really interesting because he had Jordan, J Funk was in it, and Mace. You know Mace, right?
Mason.
Yeah, Mason. They did. It's called Juxtaposition, his new collection, and it was based around ski wear, and the kind of from his show notes, it said that like I've got it written down, but like growing up in London, you wear ski wear but never ski, so it's like it becomes a thing of like an aspiration of like oh one day, because you're so used to the clothes, but I guess but you never get to do the thing, so it's a feeling of like oh one day I'll be able to blah 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 or whatever, which I thought was really cool. And it looked, from the pictures and the videos I saw, it looked sick, and they always have like movement, and he choreographs a lot of the fashion shows, which I think is really interesting.
You weren't there?
No, I didn't go. I wish. Saul, if you ever see this, I'll come and shoot behind the scenes if you want. But yeah, have you seen any of his stuff? Or
I've seen some stuff online, especially because there's dancers involved, so you always see stuff around, but I've never seen anything live.
No, it's like he does it very much in the fashion scene as opposed to in the dance scene. But yeah, I think it's interesting when you bring dance to another arena. People value it way more.
Yeah, definitely. It's also with what's his name, Mr. Chris. Was it Mr. Chris?
Yeah.
That he did some like, what do you call that when they show clothing? Not a fashion show, but I guess
where
promotion for a video or something.
Like where? Like online?
For like Louis Vuitton, I think.
Oh yeah, well maybe just like adverts, or was it like an actual?
I think so. I don't know. It just looked really cool. For me, it brings me more into the actual brand, because Louis Vuitton is not really something that I'm interested in as a person. But when I see Mr. Chris in a video, I'm like, oh, sick! Like that looks really cool. So that gets me into it.
Yeah, and it's like a vehicle for your interest in a way. Yeah, it like brings you in, and then you're like, all right, well now I'm here. Let me check the clothes.
Yeah, it's not really a brand that I would look into by myself. But
did you see the Burberry advert?
Of course.
Yeah, that was sick.
That was sick.
Do we know who choreographed that?
No. I know some of the dancers that were in it, or one dancer.
Like who?
Joshua.
I
don't know his last name. Smith, I think.
That's such a generic, like she just made that up.
No.
Smith, yeah. I'm sure there's a good chance of that's it.
I think it's Joshua Smith. He's cool. He's more into the advertisement kind of dancer. He's really cool. But he was in the video, posted a lot of like behind the scenes stuff. So that was cool.
Sick.
Yeah.
Nice. I really like that type of stuff. And there's a certain type of dancer that can pull that off. I think Nay is like that. We've spoken about it before. But like, it's just like, I mean, she was always a good dancer, but she just has something where it's like, when you point a camera, it's like, she knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
It's and then you see some dancers that are like amazing. And I know this as a photographer, but it's like, I'm like, I cannot get a good picture of you, no matter how, like you're killing this battle, but I cannot shoot a good picture of you. Like,
Are you talking about me?
No, actually.
Okay.
I haven't shot pictures of you that much. Maybe next time there's a locking battle.
Oh, Sean?
But yeah, anyway, I don't think there's anything more.
Any much?
That's not a sentence or a word. But yeah, just wanted to shout out to Saul because it's London Fashion Week and he's killing it and we appreciate you. And yeah, I think it's dope when people are fucking successful anyway, but I think it's even more dope when people from our community in the scene like take the stuff that they've learned and like go elsewhere with it and do it. And like, I'm really not, I think people should give back when they can, but also it's like just going and being you and killing it, doing the dance stuff is enough. Cause like Saul,
opening doors.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Saul being as big as he is now, and he's gonna get even bigger at fucking 29, right? Or however old he is. Yeah. It's like, you're a walking advertisement for what we do. Yeah. Because you came from this, and then probably
advertisement. Advertisement. Is that UK?
I don't know. I forget which one is.
You say advertisement.
Advertisement.
What did you say?
Advertisement.
Wait. One more time.
Advertisement.
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 Is that just you, or is that like?
I don't know. I mean,
you could have just left at advert.
Yeah, I didn't need to continue and do all that.
Yeah.
I didn't need all them syllables. But like, yeah, I think if you like, there's one way of like, I guess what you do a lot, and I would just say what I do is more internal focused of like, we're trying to help people in the scene. But I think, like being someone like Saul, where you just go out and do your stuff and be fucking dope at it and like bring your dance experience to a realm, it's gonna funnel people back towards us. Like there's gonna be interest, there's gonna be stuff like if if someone sees how successful he is, like, maybe they're like, oh, well, if he's dope, maybe there's more people from the dance scene that are into this type of thing or whatever. So
He also gives back because he always involves people from the scene.
yeah. No, sorry, that wasn't to say he doesn't give back, but more on a not in a traditional way of like he comes back and he's like, hey guys, have free clothes or you know, or whatever it is. Like
I think you can give back by just being an example as well.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
100%.
Like an example of something different that you can do with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, man.
And I was talking to the students at UEL about this last week, I think, about I think the right word is like fallacy, but I think it's basically bullshit that people go, oh, you can't really make a living as a dancer or an artist or whatever. I think that's just what people, to be blunt, what people say to each other to excuse them failing. They're like, oh no, that's why it's really hard to make a living as an artist. It's like, it's not, you just have to do it right and do it well. And it's like someone like that, it's like showing like, oh, you can't make a living as a battler or whatever. It's like, yeah, but if you're into something else, combine that with the stuff that you do, package it well and take it. It's like you can do really well, you know? Like, because you could maybe argue, I'm sure Saul has like a streak for designing and I'm sure he would have been successful no matter what, but his dance is a big part of his identity as a designer from what I see. And it seems to be mentioned in everything that he does. So I think it's like he's taken that and made that why he's big, I guess.
That's like the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see.
So yeah, I think it's just like anything that you're interested in, you can combine with dance and you can use it.
Motivational speech.
Go get it, guys. I need the like national anthem playing in the back. You can do anything you believe in. All right, should we talk about your friend?
Who's my friend?
Your friend. Mr. Dog Poop.
Oh.
I'm saying he's your friend because it happened in The Hague.
Oh, that's why. That didn't happen in The Hague, actually.
No, sorry, I lied. The show was in The Hague. It happened in Germany, I think. Right?
Yes.
The show that was reviewed was in The Hague. Have you heard about this at all?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Hilarious. So do you want to explain to Sean what happened?
Okay.
And then we'll go from there. I'll fill in details.
So there is a choreographer who is, I think, the director of a like contemporary or ballet, I don't know, company in Germany, who is also a guest choreographer at NDT, like Netherlands Dance Theater. And he did a show on a company, is it NDT? I don't know. He did a show and it was reviewed badly. Yeah,
so he did a show called In the Dutch Mountains, which was premiered in The Hague.
In The Hague. Bad review. I can't remember what it said exactly.
Oh, I've got a quote from it.
Quotes. Okay, let's go.
So the reviewer said the quote that I think got him the most mad was that watching the show was being alternatively driven mad and killed by boredom.
But at the same time, there was also some positive stuff in there.
Was there? Okay, I didn't know that.
It wasn't just negative. It was like some good stuff.
So there was good reviews too.
And in that same review, there was like sentence that was like, "Oh, this was good about it, and this was bad about it."
Negatives, I guess.
It was just.
How'd you come back from that?
Wait for it. Okay. So that was reviewed.
Well, yeah, he definitely had a comeback.
And it toured, right? So it was in Germany.
Okay.
And then
his name is Marco Goke, by the way, just so he knows who.
So they went to Germany, and this reviewer came to that same show in Germany. So she went to the one in The Hague, and she came back to the one in Germany. The choreographer saw that she was wanting to be an audience member, and he was like, "No, you can't come in." And she was like, "Well,
I thought it was at a different show that he was choreographing. It was at a ballet."
No, it was the same show, wasn't it?
I don't think it was the same show. I think he I could be wrong, but I think from what I was looking up earlier, she reviewed it when that came out. The review came out, and then he was choreographing a ballet, and then she was at the ballet that he was choreographing. Yeah,
there was a show in Germany, so she came again, and then what happened? Luke, take it away. I don't even want to say it.
Apparently, he's like famous for always having like this little dog with him, like this little puppy in his bag or whatever. Or like that's his thing. He always carries this little puppy around with him. Anyway, apparently he confronted her in the lobby while other people were there. While everyone was there. And I think at the intermission or whatever. He confronted her about this review, and they were like shouting or whatever. And he took out a bag of his dog's shit.
A little baggie.
And smeared it on her face.
On her cheek.
No way.
He just grabbed it and went.
So he bitch slapped her too?
With dog shit.
He did.
I don't know the force. Like, how what level of force does it need to be considered a bitch slap? Because there's a level where it's caress, and then there's the other level where it's a bitch slap. So at what number do we get to?
No, I think he smeared it.
So it was a more of a
It
gentle.
went up like a.
Now I have one
come on.
question.
Yes.
Well,
this was a
the
female
main
as well,
question
just to say.
it was what?
It was a woman.
Ah, yes.
Just to say.
So my main question is around him and his level of sanity. My other question is, how did he do it that she didn't move out of the way?
I think those things happen really fast.
But if I picture it and me and you are arguing and then you reach into your bag, okay,
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Could be anything. Pull out the dog shit. Now it had to have been in a bag.
Yeah. in a
So
little
he
baggie.
also has to open the bag.
No, well, I guess if it's already open. It's
Oh,
open
it's
in the
open
bag.
so maybe he reached in
He just reached
and
it
grabbed
and went.
it and then went like that. I don't know. I feel like I would duck.
So
Maybe
like-
she's older.
No,
Maybe
I
he
mean,
didn't pull it out. Maybe he just dipped.
I think
Dipped in
Just
the.
did a dip and a
maybe-
scoop.
That's some. If he did that, we have to give him points for the smoothness.
yes.
Because in order to dip and scoop and
Yeah.
smear
Before the
without,
person's clocked what's going on.
that's.
But also, I read
Impressive.
an interview that she gave the day after this happened.
Oh, she went on a press run about it.
She did. So
Yeah, go on.
she said that it all happened very quick and she didn't realize what was happening until after.
Yeah, I
was
can't
just
imagine you
frozen.
expect that. It's like,
No, but
Yeah,
even
yeah.
while it was happening, she was just like,
yeah, because that's wild.
yeah.
Did you touch her lips?
I don't know.
Oh, that's what we need to know.
That's a bit.
That's disgusting if it
Yeah.
did. Yeah, because with that smear cut, like it would have to be like that, or it'd have to be a cross.
I
Yeah.
have to say, he gave a statement about this.
Okay.
Let me just,
I
let me
want to
just
know
get
his
it up.
defense.
So talk
Well-
amongst yourselves, please.
They definitely. So the ballet apologized, and he was suspended as their choreographer. I don't know
In Germany.
In Germany for that ballet, but I don't
Does
know
it
if
end there or does it go like?
I don't
further?
think there's much else that happened. It's just that he got in a lot of shit for doing a lot of
No, he
shit
actually didn't.
for doing that.
He actually didn't.
Well, in the sense of like he got suspended, they had to put a statement out. He had to put a statement out, but like,
Yes.
in terms of actual repercussions, maybe not.
Not really, because he only got suspended from the Germany company. But then NDT, who is currently touring his work, came out with a statement saying, we appreciate our relationship that we've built with this guy for the last 10 years and we will be continuing touring his piece.
AKA, we can't afford to fire him because he's making us a lot of money.
And I'm just trying to get this statement up, but
Oh, do you want me to? Oh, no, there you go. Statement from who? NDT?
no, from the guy.
Oh, okay.
He basically saying like, yeah, it was wrong, but
Or like a half apology.
yeah.
Oh, amazing.
I can't get
He's
it up.
still pissed. Is it there?
Wait, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Statement from Marco. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Goke.
Marco Huka.
Oh, okay. There we go. Say that again. I
Marco
said
Huka.
Goke.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's wrong.
Oh.
Marco Huka, I would say.
Where is that name from?
It looks like a Dutch name.
Does
but
it?
Who knows?
So in Dutch, you'd pronounce that hookah.
Hoeka.
Hookah.
Hoeka.
Spell it.
Goecke.
I would say hoeka.
I'm going to look it up.
GOEC. What?
How do you say?
Goecke.
How do you pronounce- I have no idea. What
Okay,
does this
so
go
yeah,
on? Tell us what the
He
statement says.
basically says, me. I'm translating from Dutch, right? So sorry about
Oh,
this
is this in
translation.
Dutch?
Yeah.
Say it in Dutch.
He was just saying,
don't.
like, even I was shocked by my behavior.
Oh, what?
Guys, I'm a victim too. It just happened.
He said, yes, I did go too far. Oh, he said, I did go too far, but it was an impulsive action. I didn't see it coming either.
No,
I'm
sorry.
very
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
so
There's-
funny.
Yeah, it's funny.
He said, "I'm very sorry."
Hilarious.
He said, I would like to point out the following. In an age that reacts so insensitively to everything we do and say, I can't speak English. We must ask ourselves where... Oh, I can't...
But you're translating it, or is that in English?
No, this is English, but I can't speak it.
Where? I would
Take it
like,
over.
in an age that reacts so sensitively to everything we do and say, even cultural criticism, and this expressly also under the indisputable premise of freedom and opinion. Yo,
It's too many words.
who wrote this?
like-
This is some
This is him.
word chess. So he said, all right, let me start again. At the same time, however, I would like to point out the following. In an age that reacts so sensitively to everything we do and say, even cultural criticism, and this expressly also under the indisputable premise of freedom of opinion and freedom of the press, must ask itself where it violates the boundary to insult, to denigrate works, to mobbing, to attempt to create negative opinions, and to damaging business. This is what Miss Huster?
That's the reviewer.
How do you say that? That's German for sure, right?
Huster.
Huster. At least towards me, and some, though not all colleagues will be able to confirm this, has practiced again and again for years in a more or less subtle way with her often spiteful criticisms. I apologize for the fact that my collar finally burst, but I also ask for some understanding, at least for the reasons for which this has happened. All right, let's...
It's a bunch of
Wait.
misdirection there.
Yes.
Can I just say, what are you doing?
Oh, it was going to play.
Lekker.
No.
Kook.
No.
Lekker.
No. Goeke.
Kook.
Goeke.
Go. All right, go on.
Anyway, I was gonna say he is basically blaming her for doing her job. She is a reviewer.
Is there a... And speaking of someone who talks about other people's stuff all the time,
Yeah, go
is
on.
there a line...
No.
Also, you're an artist, so if I talked about your work and I was like, yo, this work is shit, no one go see it.
That's your opinion, innit?
Okay.
I think the only thing that needs to be grounded is your knowledge of what you're seeing. Like, if you're gonna go and see a piece that is a ballet-based piece, you should do a little bit of research about what ballet is, and then form your opinion about how it make you feel. Right? If you go and see a hip-hop theater show, make sure you do some research about where it comes from, and then form your opinion. But if you say, I know where it comes from, I just don't like it, that's you. That's all you. A reviewer isn't there to promote the show. They're there to give their opinion about the show. That's all.
And yeah, do you feel like there's like a line or where it's like too far?
I think obviously opinions anyone can have one, but if it's someone that you do reviews as part of your work, maybe your reviews need to be, based on some sort of prior knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like...
Otherwise, why are you doing this line of work and not anyone?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I guess also that's... I would hope is on the audience that it's like, if there's a critic who doesn't know what they're talking about, you would hope that eventually they lose popularity because everyone's like, well, they're just cussing work
They
with no
don't.
understanding.
Sorry, that's the reviewers of this time sometimes don't know shit.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
cuss on here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just, I think it's like not the first like 10 minutes or something, but after that it's fine.
Yeah, especially when it comes to stuff that isn't ballet based or contemporary based in theaters. When reviewers come and watch it, they usually don't do research about what it is. I'm speaking about my own work, and some people that have reviewed hip hop theater work, they don't know where it comes from. Like,
Agreed.
yeah, and so they just look at what it is and they compare it to their knowledge of hip hop, which is like a Beyonce music video,
Yeah.
or my work, and then they compare it to like yoga, which has nothing to do with it either.
That's hilarious.
So I guess,
Yeah.
so I guess
Hilarious.
that's where that line comes in, and it's like, okay, you don't know what you're talking about, so maybe take a step back. and
Well,
don't
I
say
also
anything.
have the same feeling as you, but sometimes for an opposite reason, where people, I think sometimes hip hop theater work because that's where we tend to get these reviewers who are from a contemporary ballet thing.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have reviews for battles besides the capsule because we're the one and only source. But
Pew, pew, pew.
yeah, we tend to have these reviewers who are contemporary ballet, whatever, like mainstream reviewers come to like hip hop theater things. I think they sometimes give an unjustly positive thing
Yeah, for
because
sure.
they don't know what they're talking about. They
Oh,
go,
for sure.
oh, this was amazing and it's so good. And it's like, it's almost a bit patronizing because it's like, oh, look at these kids that don't really know dance who are doing
Look at
something
them
amazing.
taking up space and that.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, I'm like,
Diversity.
sometimes I watch stuff and I'm like, this sucked. Or like there was a whole, I have a more nuanced take on it.
Yeah.
But then I see the reviews and they're all like, amazing. The backflips were spectacular. And I'm like, oh, go fuck yourself. Like, you know what I mean? It's like but it's the same feeling as yours.
No,
but
for sure.
For both reasons, I
For
think.
sure. I think this lack of knowledge goes either way. It can
Yeah.
either be very positive or it can be like, look at them all dancing in sync.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The spectacular family entertainment of
Yeah.
Like-
Like the way that the theater world is changing at the moment, I think that needs to be reflected in reviewers. So
yeah.
come on, people, do your
Guardian,
job.
holla at your boy. But yeah, so I mean, I think we all agree that there's no justification for smearing dog poop.
No, I think that's a little bit far.
A little bit
A little
far.
bit.
But yeah,
I was also gonna say,
in terms of the critique reviewer, what did you say?
I don't want you to cut anything out.
Oh no, it's fine. Go for it.
I was gonna say that's like such white people's shit.
What, smearing dog poo?
Yeah, that would not
True.
have happened at any other show.
You know who you're doing that to as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, if that's like a younger dude, like he's not.
You know who
No.
you're doing that
It's,
to.
he only did that because it's an older woman and he can get away with it. As much as he's like, I surprised myself. It's like, yeah, you would have surprised yourself how much you would have held back if the guy could have punched you back. You know what I mean? It's like, there's no way you're doing that. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a bunch of bullshit. But I think it's interesting when people, it's a bunch of
my
dog
goodness.
shit. But when people like, yeah, where they snap with the reviews. And I get that, you know, it can damage your business and you're not happy.
Definitely, yeah.
Also, I think, you know, it's something where it depends how much you're around as a reviewer. I think that's important because it's like, say with that woman, it's like she was at the shit so she could see him.
Yeah.
But he's also probably channeling all the frustration from all the other reviewers that he can't get to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
And I think this is also like the thing why I find it important to still, I mean, I want to still be at battles and I still enjoy being there or events or whatever. But that's important for me as well because it's like, I want to see the people that I'm talking about and I want them to be able to say to me, no, I disagree.
Don't agree.
You
Yeah.
know, like I can talk about the Kingdoms League, but I know I'm going to see you guys. So even if I have criticisms of it, I'm still going to say it, but I want to be able to be held accountable that like, you know, I've had conversations like this with Brooke or whatever where I've said stuff and he's been like, you didn't even read the thing. Like you got this wrong. And I'm like, yeah,
Okay,
you're right.
fair play.
But it's like, I think that's the benefit of being around because it keeps the reviewer a bit more with it. If I'm never going to see any of you, I'm just going to say anything, you know,
Yeah.
but I'm not, some people are just going to say anything, but if you're around, it does that. And it also, it's like, let's say if I had a critique of, let's say the Kingdoms League, it would maybe for you guys feel more genuine because you're like, oh yeah, he's here experiencing it. So I'm just not in my ivory tower being like, oh, I don't like that thing. Fuck it. You know, it's like I'm at the stuff. I see
Yeah.
you guys. So for me to say I don't like this aspect, hopefully it would mean like, oh, he's really saying that because he believes it, not because he's trying to just be a dick for the sake of it, I guess.
But also, I guess that's the whole thing of an open conversation. Because yes, someone can review something badly, but if you can have a conversation about it, that's cool. Or even just like having a response to it. Because someone reviewed my work once, and they used like very wrong terms, as in like they called this position that I used a yoga like
Hilarious. Yeah.
move. And I didn't know this person, but I just reached out to them, being like, "Hey, it's called this, just so you know, for future reference." And they were like, "Oh, cool. Sorry about that."
But I think also you're a bit more of a level-headed person than clearly this guy is. But
I should have just gone with my
yeah.
my little bag of shit.
this is the new response to anything you don't like. Wait till the judges like vote for the other person.
Reaching out in my
Yeah. But I think what was I going to say? What did you just say?
That's a good
Oh,
point.
is that
I like this? Yeah, very good.
some people get frustrated because let's say that person has a platform and your response was private, but you don't get to respond publicly.
No, I also did it publicly.
Okay.
I was like, just so everyone knows, it's called this.
Right.
Especially when you're showcasing something that isn't well known yet. I'm not gonna get upset if someone gets it wrong. Like,
Sure.
I'll let them know, like, no, it's this. Future reference, don't make the same mistake.
Yeah. And it's also, it's like all opinion and personal writing, I guess. So it's like,
Yeah, exactly. That's
It's-
the whole thing.
yeah. And also it's interesting to know in a way. I mean, it's still not right, but it's interesting maybe for you to understand, okay, the spaces that I'm in, the closest association people have with a fucking Indian person looking like this is yoga. You know what I mean? It's like, and then you're like, okay, maybe I'm going to navigate. So there is stuff you can take from those type of things, I think,
For
as
sure.
well. And maybe it's like, even if it is a case of like people are miseducated, miseducated, is that a right word? Misinformed?
You're misinformed. Not knowledgeable.
Yeah, it might be a case where you're like, and this is why it's good, is that there's no denying that there's spaces where people aren't educated on stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's not, we don't need to pretend that everyone is all educated on every
Yeah,
culture.
no.
Like they're not. So if you take those indicators as like, oh, maybe I'm going to need to do a little bit more education. Maybe I'm going to need to adjust my program notes or something.
No.
Or not, but to be aware of it. Like,
Yeah, I'm aware of it. I just think if you're a reviewer and you come to a show, you need to do your own research. I'm not going to do it for you.
sure, but just to play devil's advocate,
Yeah.
if you're bringing something that's not my culture into my culture, should I know the stuff? Like, for example, the dance that you do comes from where? The Indian dance comes from where?
What Indian dance?
You said
was
you do a
from?
traditional
South India.
South India, right? So
Bharatanatyam.
okay, so that's a South Indian dance, right?
Yeah.
If I brought hip hop into the places where they perform this or do this dance, and I started doing locking, and they didn't understand the terminology for locking.
I'm lost, sorry, but I'm going with
Like, let's
go
say
on,
if I bring something that I do
yes,
into a place where it's not done,
yes,
is it, whose job is it to be educated? Is it my job to say, hey guys, this is a new thing that I'm bringing in. It's called locking, and basically it goes like this, and here's the found, like, blah, blah. Or is it, could I walk into like that culture and be like, well, you guys need to educate yourself? Do you know what I mean?
It depends on what your goal is. My goal is to just put on a show. I'm not saying that I'm educating someone
Sure.
on classical Indian. I'm just saying I'm making a show and that's it. If you
Yeah.
enjoy it, you enjoy it. That's cool.
But in order for them to talk about the work,
If you're
They
a
should-
reviewer, that's different.
it's interesting. Is it like, I'm not saying, because I think I'm on your side, but I'm also like not sure that I am, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
If you're audience member and you start talking about, those movements reminded me of this yoga pose, I'll be like, oh, interesting, cool, nice. Talking about an opinion. But if you're a reviewer and you're reviewing the work, I think you need to know more.
I think there might be some instances where that might not be possible. You know what I
It's
mean?
not. It's not because no one
Let's say
knows.
let's say I work for the Barbican and my job is just to review
Everything.
shows that
Yeah.
that come on. Yeah, then I don't have time to be
Reviewing every
doing
culture.
research
and-
on
yeah.
each. If I work for the Barbican and every show comes on each weekend, I just write a review about my opinion. Then
Not gonna lie, I think if it's your job, it's your job.
But I think there's a way to do it, because it's like, I agree with
Disagrees.
Sean.
I know your face so well. Disagrees.
No, but it's like, is your job to review the show or to research and provide context for every show? Or is that the producer and the marketer of the show's job to do that?
I think to form an opinion on something, if you're a reviewer, specifically a reviewer, it should come from a place of knowledge, and then have an opinion on it.
I don't think your point is invalid. I think I just
thanks. Hey.
no, like, I'm disagreeing not from a place of you're wrong, but I just have a different opinion, I think.
okay.
But it's I'm a bit more like, I 100% get it, and I would try and educate myself and everything. But it's also like, let's say if I educate myself, then how much do I need to also educate the people that I'm talking to? Because if I'm talking to a generic English crowd that don't really know about all these different cultures, if I start using all the if I start using all the terminology from your stuff, they might read it and go, I don't know what that means. So now I have to explain all the history and everything. Or do I just, and I think it's a very carefully worded thing, or do I relate it to things that they would understand? So if I'm going to say breaking, right? Do we want breaking considered as the same sort of thing as gymnastics? No. However, for someone that has no clue about breaking at all or hip hop, if I say it's a very gymnastic type of movement and athletic gymnastic type of moves,
Yeah,
This is-
you could for sure.
so this
You're
is what I'm saying.
comparing it.
It's not, yeah, exactly. I'm not being ignorant and saying, oh, they're doing gymnastics.
No.
I'm saying this is something that you guys are going to understand. If you think of gymnastics, that's the closest reference you're
Yeah.
going to have. So then,
I'm there on that.
Okay,
because
so
you're
that's what-
comparing
yeah.
something. You're not saying it is gymnastics.
right. And that's what I
It's
think,
different.
what I was saying about there's a way to word it. So I wouldn't have said it's a yoga
is
move.
this.
However, if she says the closest thing you can imagine to this is
Different.
a yoga type of movement and it's from a similar cultural background, I get them,
Yeah.
but it's also the wording and the way you
The
say
wording
it.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And I was gonna
Was that
say,
your pushback? Yeah.
No, I was gonna say, you know those people that, oh, this is gonna be funny.
Go
you know
on.
those people that comment while there's a football game on.
Yes.
You're not gonna put me there.
Wait, the commentators.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not going to put you there. What do you mean?
You're not gonna put me there because I don't know anything about it.
Ah,
For me, it's
Right.
similar
that's-
to that.
I think that's different though.
All right.
Do you think that's different or is it the
I
same?
mean, I don't know anything about
Super
football.
different.
Okay, go on.
All right.
We love a strong opinion here on the capsule. Go on.
Well, because
Why
to
do you-
even work that job, you need to know so much about the sport,
So why is that different for reviewers?
That's a good question.
because their job is to watch and review, not to necessarily. It's different because they're not commentators. First of all, they're giving their own personal opinion, right? Or no?
I think so.
Could do.
Yeah.
Commentators know facts about football.
True.
But they also say like, oh, nice ball.
Nice ball. She watched 3 games in her life. So the thing I think is interesting though is that you could argue that sports versus like theatre and stuff, like sports has an objective and there's rules and there's things going on. Art is for entertainment. So if you were gonna, let's say if I'm good for Mango, are you?
No, right.
I think if I was going to put you in a football game and I was going to say, can you review this Arsenal game for purely on an entertainment basis.
I still need to do my research.
But do you though? Because if you were like, this game was really boring, nothing really happened, it was 0-0, and you're speaking to an entertainment audience, so like the general public who don't watch football.
Yeah, but I can't be like, look at them kicking the ball. I have to be like, they had a penalty or something. Like, I don't know those words. My knowledge doesn't go there. I don't know.
Yeah, but what about if you were like, oh, this player, like this guy, and you don't quite know who he is, but you're like, yeah, this guy played really badly, like he missed a few shots, and then turns out you're talking about Messi or something, and it's like,
Yeah.
did you need to do your research on why he's playing badly or whether
No.
he's usually good, or did you just look and go, oh, he missed a few shots and that means he's not doing great?
I'm not saying you should go back to talk about how he became a footballer. I'm just saying it would be nice if you know the name.
Yeah, but I think there's a difference between would be nice and it would be nice if every reviewer did their research, but also do they have to? It's a big...
I think yes.
Interesting. I'm just playing devil's advocate for the conversation, I guess. But yeah, any last things on that?
Nah.
All right.
Nah.
Also, I did go and see the show that got reviewed, and it was shit.
Actually,
No, it was really boring, Marco.
oh, look at you being
No.
educated.
I just
Marco,
wanted to piss him off.
Hookah.
I was gonna
Hookah.
say Geico.
Marco Geico. Your show sucks, bro. All right, so here's the thing. I don't want to make, because these audience questions are a lot. So here's what we're going to do.
Quick fire team.
Quick fire thing. And I'm going to throw it to, well, we'll throw it out there if one of you wants to answer more than the other, or if it's more like, whatever. If it's more suited to one person, we'll do that.
Okay.
And we'll try and keep them, because I like to go off on a tangent, as any capsule listener knows. So we'll try and keep them as short answers as we can,
Let's
and
go,
just
let's
answer as many of your questions as we can. Thank you for everyone that submitted a question. If you are a listener, it's super helpful when you engage and ask questions, and also comment like anything you disagree with or anything you liked. Like, we love the audience engagement, and it really helps more than you know. So please keep doing it.
Get involved.
Yeah, and get involved. So, all right, first question. How do you get over prelim jitters? You have them. Is that why you're laughing?
Just do it.
Just do it. Good question.
Just do
Good
it.
answer, I mean.
Especially with locking for me.
I feel like there's no way to answer that other than practice and evolve.
Yeah.
You know,
Like,
There's-
so when your skills are up, you'll...
it's about your skills, but it's also about like your experience with like how you learn how to perform. Like, it's like public speaking.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
I think there's a certain at some point you learn how to deal with working in pressurized environments, and then you'll find that all of those pressurized environments you learn how to deal with them better.
Yep.
Yeah.
Whether it's a prelim or whether it's
100%.
speaking on the mic in front of an audience.
Yeah. And I think there's a saying of like, what is it? Like, it's really cliche, but like, bravery isn't the absence of fear. It's doing something in spite of the fear or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, I think it's the same as like this for prelim. Like, everybody feels prelim jitters. It's just the more experienced people.
Everybody had them at the start.
Yeah, and it's like, even now we just learn to deal with them. Like, there's times when we're about to go on and we're like, oh, and we just learn to just go, no, I'm just going to do it. I've done this before.
Even your favorite dancer, when they started out,
Yeah.
nervous, terrified.
And yeah, I think it's experience as well. The more you do it, the less it's a thing. And also, you know that there's more that are going to come. So if you fuck this one up.
the more you do it, the less it's a thing. Sometimes for some people, I think it increases.
Okay.
But
Like, you get more jitters the more you do it.
But it depends on the individual and like how you learn from each one.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Good answers. When you get inspired, how do you transfer an idea from your mind to the space? I'm going to go to you on that
Sorry,
one.
one more time.
You get an idea.
Yep.
You're like, oh, I've got this thing. I'm
Yep.
inspired, blah, blah. How do you take it from your mind and put it into actual physicality? Like,
Oh, I think it's similar. It's like just doing it more often, like experience.
but let's say in a
More you
one, like not over a long career, but like one, like right now, tomorrow, you get inspired by something
Yeah.
and you need to turn that into a physical piece. Where do you start?
Well, for me, so I'm currently actually in the middle of making a new piece.
There we go.
So I start
Is it
with,
about yoga?
it definitely is, and about Bollywood.
Yes.
Start with images. Sometimes I look at videos about people, people talking about this topic,
Like background research on the
background
thing.
research, music that maybe I feel would fit inspires me, and then I just start making some stuff.
So you just go in the studio and start moving.
Yeah, I do my research and then go into the studio and just bash
what
things
comes out
out. And
naturally,
sometimes it's not so good. Sometimes it's really good. Like I make 100 things and then maybe 2 things are good. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna continue on that.
And so literally you're in the studio, you've done this background research.
Yeah.
What are you starting to do to move? Are you just freestyling and being like, what feels good? Or are you like looking at movement themes that you can bring in? Like, how do you take
Yeah,
that?
it depends. I use different techniques, I would say. I use like really specific, like, okay, this image is nice. Let me see what I can take from that and make that into a moving thing. Or I just go with feeling and freestyle something. And then I look at the video. I'm like, okay, this is cool. This could probably be something.
Cool.
So, yeah.
That's really helpful. If I can add to that, not that I have as much experience as you guys, but I think for me, choreographing is kind of similar to like when you're dancing to music, where it's like you're taking music, which is auditory, and turning it into something visual, right? In this example, you're taking an idea and turning it into something visual. So the first thing is to start creating visuals would be mine.
Yeah.
So even if you doodle on a paper, write words, do a brainstorm, get like pictures from inside, like the quicker you can turn that idea, like basically make a mood board or a vision board.
Definitely.
The quicker you can take anything that's not visible and turn it into something visible, you've already done the first step of making
Oh, yeah.
choreography.
That's sorry to bounce off that as well,
Go.
especially with the video that I did for Far From Norm, the backless one.
Backless?
The back. What do you call this?
Yeah, topless back
topless
video.
back one. I had this image of like naked person in a mountain,
Okay.
in a dream, very random, and then I just start videoing myself from like the back. Nothing. It was just at home, like no background, and then I started to think of the background. So like the more you have the image, and then
Yeah.
the more things come together.
Yeah, and you'll never create the perfect thing the first time.
No,
you have to
exactly.
like do it bit by bit.
Yeah.
What aided you, this is for both of you, in conducting high quality workshops and classes? Like what do you have certain techniques? Is there anything you've learned about teaching high quality workshops and classes?
So, okay, where to start? So, first of all, experience was the main one. It's like
In teaching.
the most important one. Experience teaching. I started teaching locally, teaching friends and like youth club dancers. So I started there. That was my first kind of teaching experience. Progress, blah, blah, blah. Let's say 10, 15 years. Something which was a big turning point for me with teaching and workshops is when I studied to be an English teacher. So
I didn't know you did that.
yeah, you
Wow.
learn something new. So learning how to teach, I learned some skills from that I brought back into dance, and then it just it did that.
Like
I was
the-
able to like communicate differently in
Yeah.
class,
Yeah.
this kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's really like a skill to teaching. I
There's
think,
a skill
which
to
you can
teaching how to make
learn.
students give
Engaged.
you the results that you want.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's also we kind of get wrapped up in this world that we're so unique as dancers that no one else knows what we're doing, and it's like the skill of teaching is hundreds and thousands
Yeah.
maybe of years old. So it's
Yeah,
like there's resources out there to
Yeah.
learn how to communicate information. You just then put your speciality into it, but yeah, you can do courses on
Yeah.
teaching like
What
Yeah,
helped me as well was going to other people's classes and seeing what I liked and what I didn't like, how people brought certain things. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that like,
Yeah.
like that. So I'm going to do it different.
And there's also not one way to teach. Like
No.
it's your style of teaching, and
sure.
that's what you have to determine by doing stuff like that. Yeah. This is one that some people agreed with when it was posted. How do you compete / excel when being outside of a major scene, i.e., being outside of London? I thought of you because you taught a lot at like Jukebox and stuff, and some of those guys have gone on to be
Say the question one more time.
like, if you don't live in London, you're outside of a major scene, or let's say you're from like a place in France and you're not in Paris. Like, how do you still keep up with the people that are here in the midst of it?
I mean, I've never lived outside of a major city, so I can't speak from experience, but
Or how
I
would
feel
you
like
say
you've-
people do?
I feel like it's a lot easier now with the online thing and
Social
social
media.
media and that you can communicate with people. You can see videos that inspire you and this kind
Yeah.
of stuff, and then travel.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you're gonna have to travel at some point. If
True.
you just stay where you are, then you ain't gonna get very far.
Like
No.
strategic traveling, hit the stuff that's gonna, like, I think especially depending on what realm you're in. Like, if you're trying to be a battler, it's one thing. If you're trying to be a choreographer, it's one thing. But it's like you have to show your face in the right place. So this marketing and branding is
So
like,
whatever country you're based in, I guess the first thing you're gonna do is have to make contact with the major city. I mean, Mother Funk's a good example.
and Harry.
She's in Scotland, yeah, and Harry as well. But they make regular contact with London and the scene here. And
Like they're two of our like two big figures in popping, and
Yeah.
they don't live anywhere near London.
they're
Very-
nowhere
very
near
possible.
the major city. Yeah. But they make contact with it, and, you know, put in the work, you get the results.
Yeah. Anything on that or no?
No, not
Nope.
really.
Lovely. All right, this is one for Sean because of he made a status a while back about the new gen, and now no one has let it go
People feeling attacked.
forever.
Go on
Yeah,
then.
no, actually, a lot of people.
Bums. You lot are bums.
I have to say, from my perspective, a lot of the new gen took that very well, and they took it on the chin and went for it. So congrats for that. But I have two questions on that. One is, are the new gen doing enough, Sean? Have they done enough? Are they doing enough? If not, what can they do more? We spoke about this a little bit last week because someone asked about it, and Lee said in his very eloquent way, calm down, bruv, everyone just started traveling 2 minutes ago.
what
Keep
does
going.
what does doing enough mean?
Yeah, I guess. Well, what was your criticism originally? And what, have they done enough on that, if we put it to that?
I don't know. I can't remember where it started.
I think it was about traveling and representing outside of the country. I could be wrong, but I think that's what it was.
I mean, they're doing it now. I see a lot of the youngsters doing that. A lot of the young
Yeah.
gen. Yeah, they're traveling. They're repping. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I think it's just that.
A very general question
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
but I think that's why I said it to you. Like, I have a feeling it was,
about the travel.
yeah, it was about what Sean had said about the new gen thing. But I think it's like, it depends on your goals also. But it's like, yeah, I think it's just keep doing it. And the whole thing I think about your status was that like, you can be a big fish in a small pond here, but it's like when you travel and you're in the world scene, you're on the world ranking. And there might be people like, let's say like you and Brooke, who don't travel so much for battles anymore, but you know your place on that world ranking, let's say the informal world ranking, because you've been out there doing it. You know likelihood of how you can keep up with certain poppers in Paris or in Japan or whatever, because you've been there. Like Brooke, I mean, he was just judging in France the other day, but like, I think that's the thing when you start to go travel, and it's not a case of traveling once and being like, oh, I got through prelims, I must be pretty good. It's like, how do you do over a 10-year career of traveling? That's where your real level is. So I think it's like, you got to keep going, and then you start to see you do really well one day, you don't get through prelims the next day. And over the course of years, you average out like, okay, I'm doing pretty well.
Yeah.
You start to get invited more, you start to get a reputation. So
I feel
think
like
it's
it's difficult to say like if the new gen are doing enough. I mean, just stay active, stay involved, stay busy,
yeah.
and we'll see how things pan out in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Time
And it's
will
also,
tell.
I don't know if you'd agree with this, but I think it's also deciding between you guys, and it's not an actual conversation, but it's more of a sentiment as you grow, or like where you want to take the scene. Like
Yeah.
you guys, or like, I don't know about me, including me in that, because I was around, but I wasn't really doing much. But like in terms of battles and stuff, it's like, there was a time when we were getting our heads kicked in by a lot of like a mid-level French popper would come over and just kick
Yeah, I
everyone's
just
head
want to say the UK is the second best in Europe right now, man,
Ooh.
after.
after France.
In what style? Popping.
Popping,
I would definitely back that on
say
popping.
hip hop freestyle.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Say-
breaking.
Actually, let me think about hip hop freestyle.
Hip hop freestyle is a little bit
Says
more
me.
of a. I feel like there's some Germans
Yeah,
that are still
I'll stick to
levels. Popping. Yeah, I don't know if let's say we're doing KOD like 4-on-4s or something. I don't know who's.
I just think
beating
street
us.
dance styles across the board, UK is the second best right now.
We're doing well. I think so. What I was gonna say is like I think your generation's thing on that was like we're not doing well. Let's travel. Let's get out there and change this reputation and change it so that if somebody, even like when it came to a fact of like fucking Nelson and who came over for Just Taboo UK?
Nelson and Frankie.
Nelson and Frankie is like two of the best poppers in the world at that time, are not having an easy ride to winning. Even if they won, it's like it's tough for them, let alone like your mid-level ones are getting their asses kicked over here now. So it's like that was you guys mission.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, people in the young generation now, it's like, what do you see that's wrong with the scene or that needs changing or that you can
So
implement?
you lot need to take us from being the second best to the best.
Exactly.
Ooh.
There
We
you go.
drop
It's-
from second to like fourth or fifth.
Yeah.
It's a bit
Or
of an
it's like
issue,
maybe
bro.
you decide like, all right, we've got this vendetta against Paris. We're gonna flood France every weekend, and until they know that we're better, or, you know, whatever it
Yeah.
might be. It's like I think you have to also find your mission for your generation, and do something with that. Another one, this is quite easy. Should the new generation and old generation team up more on events and videos and content, etc.? Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll film it. Yeah, I mean, collaboration is always good, I think.
Yeah.
So that's pretty easy. Actually, I'm going to ask you this one because you're doing it. What training tools and or goals would you recommend freestylers have when training for battles?
Oh, I don't even know how to answer this question.
Well, what are
One more
yours?
time.
Go on.
Training tools and our goals.
When training for
Well,
battles.
I'm training for battles. I would say, I don't know, like mastering the
The style.
style.
Anything else?
No, I just like practicing, practicing, doing rounds, like doing as many rounds as you can, really, like during the week, even if it's just 30 seconds, like doing rounds at random times. For me, because I work as well as a dancer, right?
Right.
So I don't have a lot of time in the day. So even if it's just in the morning, right before I go work, I
Bang a
bash
quick
out a round, or like in my break, I have an hour break, I bash out a round. I don't send it to you, but I do it. Just doing it at random times, so I know like even when I'm tired, I can do a round, something like that. For me.
My advice is to have a community, or try and have like some people that are like-minded, you know. It's so much more beneficial if you got people that are interested in the same thing, that you can kind of, you build each other up.
Yeah.
And then if you're lucky, get yourself a mentor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or a coach.
Yeah. I would add in that specificity. If you're training for battles, but all you ever do is like 3-minute rounds to your favorite songs, you're going to be out of practice when someone says you've got 45 seconds to do your best stuff. Like, figure out the format of battles and how you need to structure your dance and practice that. It's like with exercise or whatever.
Yeah.
If you want to get good at jumping, do lots of jumps. Like, if you want to get good at battling, do 1-minute rounds with a break in between, and try and do like, this is what I always tell Lewis when we're talking about it, is like, prelims is 1 round. Let's say quarters, semis, finals. Let's say they're 2 rounds each. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's say there's 2 ties, 8, 9. If you can't do, let's make it 10 to be generous. If you can't do 10 rounds without repeating and without getting tired,
Okay, I see.
you know what I mean? It's like you need to structure your dance to be able to work in a battle format. You need to have 10 separate rounds at least that are all good level, that can all bang. Again, you could have the hardest person in the world for your first round. So 10 good level rounds with that you can bang in a minute, and you need to have the stamina to be able to do it. So it's like specificity in your training, I would say.
I mean, to build on that as well, I think for me, what I've been trying to do as well is sometimes not necessarily routine, but just like signature moves.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Like building that for yourself, not just like, oh, that looks cool on someone else, like seeing what your body does that you want to make your own signature. Yeah,
your style is important. Your signature. I would also say that how I would train and how I've helped Lewis training, but it's not the way for everyone, but it's like, of those 10 rounds, split them up into 10 different rounds. So one's a waving round, one's a floor work round. Even if it's not the full round is that's the theme of that round. And then you can fit your preset blow-ups in. So if you have a floor work move, it goes in the floor work round. If you and then you can mix them up as you want. But if you start to have this like structure, then you can fit it.
Yeah, because that's what I do as well weekly, like focusing on different things. Maybe 1 week is more focused on like party moves, and then the other week is more focused on like, I don't know.
That's good.
Way. Yeah.
All right. Lack of DJs on the scene and how music is becoming repetitive in the UK, in my opinion. Well, we can't speak on your opinion, but lack of DJs in the scene.
Is that a question?
Well, it's like what they wanted us to speak about. Lack of DJs on this. I mean, there's a few good ones, but anything is. DJ equipment is expensive. Anyone can become a dancer if they have space and headphones. To become a DJ, you need expensive equipment. So there's a barrier to entry from that. There's also, once you've spent however much decks are, you have to then spend time.
Software.
Yeah, buy all the software. You need to have a good laptop to be able to run it. And then you have to get paid enough. Like if I buy a new camera, every time I buy a new piece of equipment, I calculate how many jobs on average it will take me to pay myself back for this camera. So if I spend £1,000, I'm like, okay, this many jobs will bring me £1,000, and that camera can help me get those type of jobs.
Yeah.
With a DJ, it's the same. So it's like, I'm going to spend £500 on equipment. How many jobs am I going to get? How long is that going to take me? And if there's not that many jobs going.
Well, I guess that goes back to maybe events hiring the same DJs, because if you're a new person getting into wanting to be a DJ, then if you're not getting asked to do jobs, how would you ever
Exactly, yeah.
be able to
But I mean,
afford-
again, it's like the lock-in thing with the categories. It's like if you put your stuff online and you're getting a buzz and you're putting mixes out, you're putting YouTube videos, you're Instagramming all the stuff that you're doing,
That's
and
true.
people know you. The demand will be there. So
Yeah, build your own hype.
yeah, and music becoming repetitive is linked to them hiring the same DJs. I think the music is repetitive when it's the same DJ every time.
because they have their own style in it.
Yeah.
So
And if they're getting hired every time, they have no incentive to get new music because they're not competing. The new Movements Under 18s battle. Yeah, it was sick. Really good. I filmed, so all the videos are up on our YouTube. Shout out to Maisie, who it was my favorite of the night. She killed it. One of Harry's students. But I don't like crediting the teacher with 100. It's like, yes, Harry trained her, but she's putting in the work to becoming good. So let's also give her props. Obviously Harry's dope and he's a great teacher, but let's also give her props for putting the work in and becoming good at fucking 13 years old. Yeah, really good. There was a lot of good people there. I think the under 18s battle thing is a great thing. There's a few questions about under 18s battles, but yeah, I think that's a great thing for them to have their playground and to develop that scene there, so that when they enter the scene with the adults, they've got a bit under their belt already. It gives them a little safe space to keep pushing themselves. So, and it's good. It's interesting to see. I enjoyed that a lot. I remember when I used to go to under 18s battles like ages ago. Well, not when I was under 18, but when I used to watch, it's like the level has got way higher. Like some of these people, I was watching the battle and I was like, I don't know if I would have won this. Like, I would have done okay at this battle and that's it. Like, I would have won a few and lost a few, but I was like, these guys are all like super young. But yeah, dope event. Shout out to Josh and New Movements, and shout out to all the dancers who were there, because
Keep it going, man. It's important. It's an important one.
And yeah, I think there would be good turnout if it was like done regularly. Yeah, well, it's locking scene in the UK and where it was heading. We've kind of spoke about that, I guess, but
it's on the rise. On the rise.
on the rise. Let's leave that with the positive. It's on the rise. Advice for popping.
Is it?
Yes.
We hope it's on the rise. But yeah, we have to wait and see. Also, I have a pretty firm belief in that you can't force a culture to be what it isn't, because that's not a culture anymore. A culture is a naturally occurring thing. So if people aren't as interested in locking, if you try and force it too much, then they're just doing it out of a sense of I have to do this thing, as opposed to we want a real interest in locking. So that's why we need role models. We need people doing it.
Yeah.
We need more videos and stuff. And then people are going to actually be interested in it. So yeah, let's see.
So are we saying locking's dead, or what are we saying?
I think it's there's a little like the heart monitor's like this. Beep. Yeah, exactly. It's like
okay.
it's in a
Okay.
coma with some hope. There's some hope for like some experimental medical treatments, and we could bring it back.
Okay. I'll
I have to say it's a lot more positive than it was
Yes.
like a year and a half, 2 years
I'm
ago.
here for. I'm just so positive, guys. I think is on the rise.
Yeah, cool.
I'm talking about
We
the
like that.
people. It's great. People are interested.
Well, that's good if from your perspective you're seeing that.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
Sick. Someone said advice for popping, but I mean, that's so broad that we could be on it all day. I would say, yeah, go to Sean's class. There's also other people that
At base
teach
Tuesday.
Get on
popping.
beat, learn how to dance,
Yep.
learn how to pop.
And also, there's so much on YouTube now. There is so much stuff that you can look at on YouTube. And I mean, I don't know if you would agree on this, but I think just start by just copying the best you can from like what you see. If you don't know all the technique and all the
Imitate your
names,
favorite dancers.
yeah, you don't have to be like, oh, until I know all the vocabulary and all the technique. Just go do the stuff that looks cool to you. Start with waving and tuts and the shit that you think looks cool. Play with that, and then
Start somewhere.
start, and you'll get there later. More under 18s events or more under 18s battles in events. I think that's either or. So are you saying we need more under 18s events, or do we need more under 18s categories in normal events?
I think the under 18s events are cool.
Their own thing.
Yeah. As their own thing.
I like that. It kind of makes it like their space. And what New Movements did also, which is quite cool, is they tried to get like a younger judge. I mean, Sheldon's a bit of a younger DJ, but like their whole thing is like trying to get younger people involved in all the things, which I like. I actually, although we could say, there's certain dancers that shouldn't be judging because they're too young and have less experience, I actually don't mind it if it's at an under 18s event.
Yeah.
And it's like them judging them. It's like, okay, cool. I'm not mad at that in that context, but that's me personally. More under 18s events or more under 18s categories?
More Events.
More events. Sorry.
I need to pee.
Yeah, you can go. It's fine.
No.
You're going to hold it? Okay, this question. Is there a place to have free workshop? I don't know that we can answer that. South Bank. Go and talk to people. Someone said maybe changing under 18s to under 21s. No. And it's like the way I saw the under 18s the other day, it's like you lot are competing with the adults. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would change it to under 16s if anything.
Yeah, because in under 18s, you have like if you change it to under 21s, you might have like a 20-year-old against a 9-year-old.
Yeah, so that's why. Yeah,
you don't need that.
I'm all for the categories thing. I would say it would be really cool if in events like what UDO do, where you have more like age based. I would love that in normal battles where you have like under 10s and under 16s and under 18s and then whatever, you know. I also think like breaking, and actually I've seen some skateboarding stuff that do this, but like they do like dirty 30s and all that, where it's like,
oh yeah,
I think those type of things would be quite fun. But no, I think change it to under 21s. It's like the whole scene is like, it's a younger scene these days. Everyone's like 19, 18.
Yeah.
And they're fucking the best people in the world at that age. So I'm like, why do you need to kick us old people out? Yeah. We're already losing to you. Someone said, not a question, but we need Sheldon DJing in most events.
All right.
Shout out to Sheldon. I'm yes, agreed, but I've also got to throw Josh in that mix because Josh kills it. So if we can change it to Sheldon and Josh, then cool. Sean, who did you learn popping and locking from, and who are your dance role models?
Oh,
that's a specific one with your name in it.
Bloody hell. Started off self-taught. I would say for maybe the first 5 to 7 years. I went to Fred's class in 2008, so shout out to Fred. Fred was teaching here, and he also was the person that was bringing pioneers over from America. So I got to learn from pioneers. I got to learn firsthand information that way. So the people that I would say have made a big impact on me for popping are Waleed, Junior Boogaloo, Sugar Pop, and Pop Tart.
Are these who you'd credit as your role models, or just who you learned from?
These are the people that I took they really helped shape me into what I do today.
Nice.
Yeah, and of course Greg and Shabadoo for locking.
Sick.
Yeah.
Cool. Lovely. Well, this is kind of, we may have already covered it. But this is specifically about you. Why does Sean think that locking is dying in the UK compared to other countries, e.g. Asia and Holland? Do you have a...
Show me your locking, man.
Ooh.
Show me it.
But I'll
think differently.
No, but why do you think it is?
Because I ain't seen them.
Okay.
Where are they?
Fair. It's just not
Where
present.
are they?
I don't know.
There's a lot of all-star battles.
I didn't submit the question.
There's a lot of all-star battles. I don't see that many lockers.
Fair.
I know there's not locking categories, but go into the all-star battles.
Or
and kill it.
Set up jams or whatever.
All-star battles are under 18 a lot of the time.
True. Put some content out.
True. Maybe we've covered this. How did you learn to teach styles and techniques effectively as a mentor figure? We kind of covered that, right?
Yeah.
What are you most grateful for? This is a good one. About dance. What are you most grateful for about dance? What keeps you going after so long? And then they put deep LOL.
After so long, so that's you.
What do you mean? You've been dancing for how long?
Yeah, at least like 60 years.
Exactly.
Grateful.
Most grateful for and what keeps you going?
What keeps me going is I just enjoy dancing a lot, and I want to be dancing until I'm very old. So that's what keeps me going, I guess. I just enjoy it. I get my happiness from it. Yeah. Just that's my life a little bit.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I think it's helped me have a community. It's helped me be a part of this community. Dance has helped me to express myself in different ways, and you find confidence through dance. What was the other part of the question?
What are you most grateful for and what keeps you going?
What keeps me going? I feel like, my position has changed a little bit in the scene now. So seeing the next generation of people coming through
motivates
me and to help work with them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, it's
It's like passing on information, you know.
yeah, like someone asked this at the capsule anniversary, something similar. But for me, it's like, it's all the people. Like, I think that's such a thing that young people, and I said this was one of my regrets in dance, is that like, it took me so long to realize the connections that were in the scene. And I spent so long just being competitive and being like, yeah, screw everyone. I'm going to beat them in a battle, and just not talking to people and not making friends. And it's like, now I actually have real, genuine, deep friendships. Like me and Kieran used to like be rivals, but it's like, we were never friends. I was just like, oh, fuck that guy. He just wants to do foundations. He's no fun. Like, and I just, and now he's like one of my best friends, and like someone that I go to when I'm really like going through something, and he's going to be there for me. And it's like, I'm regret that it took me so long to gain that from the scene, you know? Yeah. So I think that's something that I'm most grateful for, is the people. But also, what keeps me going is like, and I mean, this is even with the capsule and stuff as well. It's like seeing even like the young guys, like if you say like UPG or these type of people that are coming up, and you see them really doing the shit. And I'm like, that's what makes me keep going. Cause I'm like, fuck man. Yeah. It's like so many people, and that you see them get friends and them make connections that are deep. And I'm like, yeah, you're gaining the shit that I've now got. And like, I want to contribute to that or keep that going. And it's like, yeah, I think above all the other shit, it's like the people are such a valuable thing.
I want to add, I guess I also want to say, when you talk about being grateful, I think I'm very grateful for the London scene, because like when I first moved here, I was like, oh my God, I don't know anyone. Like I literally moved here not knowing anyone but
I remember.
Max. And then in like such a short time, I feel like I've built so many like meaningful connections. Like you two are such a big part of my life, and like I have a deep relationship with the both of you, and that happened in such a short time. So I guess I'm very grateful for the, what do you call that? Like generosity of the London scene.
Oh, nice. Happy to hear that. Sean, would you start a locking class in London?
Oh,
I already had one. No one came.
Oh,
so I stopped it.
There you go. This is what happens when they say, why is it not locking and stuff? It's like, you need to show up when stuff happens.
I had a class in 2012. I had the class until I think 2014 when I stopped it. It was all right, but I mean, it was struggling quite a bit. But I know times have changed. Those people ain't really around anymore. There's a new scene. So
maybe. Who knows?
Would you consider the workshop model?
Yeah, I think I might do a one-off and see how it goes, you know.
Cool.
See what the interest is like.
That's exciting.
I don't know about a weekly class though.
Weekly class is a big commitment.
All the people that said they're interested in locking, come.
This is kind of, again, I feel like it's doubling up on a lot of stuff. What are some options for progression / community as a newbie locker? I feel like we covered some of that.
Yeah, you already.
What are some options for progression
/ community? Use online.
Reach out.
Hire a studio and do sessions. Vatican, Pirate.
Yeah, and also just
get your
reach
people
out
together.
to people that you know that they practice. Just reach out and be like, oh, can we practice together?
Or travel.
Yeah.
Or travel.
And
Yeah,
train with other people.
reach out to the right people, try and find out who does what, speak to people, communicate, try and find out the knowledge. I mean, it's nothing that hasn't always been the case.
Yeah.
It's always been that way.
New. But I think also it's like, with any of these questions or anything, it's like, don't just sit and wait for other people to do it. If something isn't happening, do it yourself. Like if there's no sessions for locking and you want a locking session,
start one.
Hire a studio and start one. Like, and then things will happen, you know. It's like we're all sitting around waiting for someone else to do the thing that we need in the scene. Like,
Facts.
Do it yourself. This one, I don't think I've got much on this, but why aren't dancers criticized online as much as other artists? For example, musicians and comedians. Because I think no one cares as much about dance. Who's going to sit and go, oh, this dancer was like we all listen to music, so we're all going to critique the new Kendrick album or new J. Cole album.
I think platform though, because you did have opinions about the.
Well, me, because I'm a dancer. But not like why aren't dancers criticized online, like by general public, I think.
By general public. I mean, still so. People had opinions about the Rihanna.
True. So when it's on a big enough platform, they will. Yeah. So no one's going to really delve deep into
I feel like the critique is just from dancers about dancers at the moment.
Yeah.
Like let's say when the Olympics happens, there's going to be
more
from
opinions.
Other people.
Yeah.
True.
From outside of dancers' perspective.
And also, I think maybe with music and comedy, people are more used to what it should look like. So they go, this didn't make me laugh, or I didn't enjoy the sound of this. I'm going to critique it. When people are used to seeing dance and going, like, I think it was cool. I don't, you know what I mean? It's hard to know.
I think it's going to be crazy. Like in 2 to 3 years, you're going to have people just randomly in a coffee shop just discussing
B-boys. Imagine.
Just having like random people just discussing B-boys.
That would be
like
sick.
Sonny battled that person. What did you think about that? Oh, yeah, man. His footwork was nice, but you know, he's a
Just some old like ladies in a coffee shop or something. Sean, another one for you.
Ooh.
By name, what are you doing or planning to do for others that you didn't have earlier in your career?
Responsibility.
So I think the question, the way I interpret that is, what are you gonna do, or what might you do that you didn't have for you that you're gonna give?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like you didn't have it, so you're gonna do it. If there's anything,
I think the whole teaching and mentoring thing I'm already doing.
yeah,
And there was no teachers around in the beginning for me. So definitely that's something that I've been doing and will continue doing. And also the work that I'm doing with AIM as well.
yeah,
You know, they've learned from me, and now they're also kind of
teaching and
Branching.
doing their own thing as well.
say grandchildren.
I said branching out.
Oh, branching out. There's like grandchildren like there. Yeah,
Yeah, man. So
Sick.
just passing it on. That's it.
love that. How long have you been locking, Chandani?
Okay, so there's two answers. I would say I've been locking with Sean since last year Jan,
Okay,
and I've been locking badly by myself since 2000 something.
2000 something.
2000 something before my
Like
There's a lot of
2021 or
2000 no like
2004,
14
okay.
not 4
2002,
no I
2000
was a
what?
baby.
You might have been looking. I don't know.
I don't know.
Locking, baby.
Some people say that, you know, that I was born dancing. You might be one of them.
Dancing, not locking.
Yeah.
And I think the last thing was
There's more.
yeah, some believe that anything danced to a hip hop or R&B song is
Ooh.
hip hop dance. Can you speak about this? I mean, people have been speaking about this for like the last 10 years or so, specifically Kashmir and other people like that. But no, I mean, it's either a really simple answer or a really long answer.
It's just really simple.
Let's keep it
Go
simple.
on.
It's not.
Done.
Like,
It's not if it's not.
if you dance to funk music, it doesn't mean you're locking or you're popping or you're whacking or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, just because you're dancing to hip hop music, don't mean it's hip hop dance.
Yeah, there's
Of
like
course it doesn't.
specific vocabulary and stuff, and when it's just choreo, it's like you're not. Well, you might be using vocabulary, but it's like you're just doing Taylor movements like on the music. It doesn't automatically make it the thing. Although there's maybe a whole other podcast worth of conversation about the music inspiring moves, and then at what point do they become vocabulary, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like at some point there are new moves that you start doing to music that aren't considered vocabulary, but if enough people do them and they become social enough, they become part of the vocabulary. So then, do you know what I mean? There's something along that of like, if enough people start putting move, like a lot of the new hip hop social dances, you know. But I think that is Jen is home. But yeah, I think that's everything for today. Unless you guys have any last words.
March 18th, 19th, AIM Connective edition 2, 1v1 hip hop, 1v1 popping. Put in your diaries.
Lock-in workshop with Sean.
To
Maybe
be confirmed.
maybe coming at some point.
At some point.
Hopefully. Bollywood workshop. No, I'm joking. Yoga.
Racist.
Yoga workshop.
Racist. No, nothing.
It's not me.
19th of July, premiere of my new work.
Let's go at Messham's Wiltshire.
Yes.
Woo! What's the work called?
Rudra. Look it up, Google it. I'm not going to tell you what it means.
Solo.
A trio
Ooh, with
Ooh.
with Adya Shastri, winner of BBC Young Dancer 2021,
Oh, let's
2022, and Mithun Gill, a very good Kathak dancer.
lovely. Looking forward to seeing it.
Thanks.
And
Me
then
too.
anything else?
Oh, and me. I'm in it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think we assumed that you were the third. Anything else upcoming for you? Any other
yes,
things?
Breaking Convention. I don't know what date. 30th of April. Me.
Oh, I don't know.
in with Justin de Jager and Evian.
Oh, you're doing it?
And
With-
Sasha.
Oh, so if
Come
you
and
listened
watch
when
it.
we reviewed Back to the Lab, the guy Justin, or Justin if you're reading it and you're English,
Justin.
but you probably would have said in your head Justin, and then when you say Justin, people will say, I don't know
Who?
any.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy.
But yeah, so you're doing Breaking Convention main stage with him.
Yes, I don't know main stage. Probably, I don't know.
Well, yeah, they're not going to put him
Yes.
in the.
Yes, he's choreographing. I'm dancing with Evian.
Oh, he's not dancing.
Evian and Sasha.
Shadid.
Yes.
Yeah. Justin's not dancing. Justin.
No.
Ah, cool.
Justin.
I'm hoping to get him on the pod when he's back.
That'd be cool.
He is a dope ass motherfucker.
Yeah, really cool.
All right. Thanks everyone for listening.
Okay.
Love you all. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for the questions. We love when people ask questions. And please, if you have any things to add or opinions that disagree with ours, or if you really, really love the dancers for the Alicia Keys performance, please put it in the comments and follow the capsule on
Some locking
Instagram.
content out.
Put some locking content out.
Yeah.
Follow Sean Plague on Instagram and Sean Plague Creates is your other page. What's your Instagram that you actually want people to follow?
Chandani G.
Chandani G.
Yeah, not because I'm cool, but because my last name, first letter of my last name.
Ah.
Yeah, not.
I always
Chandani.
thought it was like Chandani IG, like, because this is your
Oh
IG.
no, it's Chandani G.
G. Ah, because you're a G. Yeah, cool. And see you all next week. And goodbye.
Bye.
How you do that?